The iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series heads itself to its penultimate round. That one is in Germany at the Nurburgring, and it is a chance for Koana Sim Sports driver Martin Kroenke to win his 11th round of the season and win the championship on his home turf. Now, Martin Kroenke has been literally the guy to beat all season long. He has been the fastest driver in qualifying, more than anyone else. He has been the fastest driver in the race, more than anyone else. And just when you think you have cracked the Kroenke code, something goes along, be it teammates crashing together, be it strategy calls, or just be it the fact that Koana have ruled the land in 2017. Qualifying is underway. Kroenke is once again fastest. 32 drivers are here at the Nurburgring, but in 2 hours' time, we could be saying the words Martin Kroenke, two-time iRacing world champion of Grand Prix racing. And well, Johnny, that is something we are really looking forward to maybe saying.
Yep, definitely. Good afternoon, everybody. Martin Kroenke, fantastic season. He's been 10 out of 10, perfect so far. And ironically, or the pun there is, he's also been 10 out of 10 wins. So he's been doing a great job. We know for the title anyway this afternoon. We'll focus on that a little bit later. But if Bono Haas wins, he has to finish 29th or higher. So he's definitely got that on board today. There's only 32 cars out there for qualifying, and that means that Bono really has to be on it. Currently P3 provisionally, and already 2 places down on Martin Kroenke, who holds that provisional pole time. Isn't that something we've seen all season? It is indeed. The gap currently is 16/100ths of a second then between Bono Haas and Martin Kroenke. We're right on board right now with Bono Haas in that Team Redline car. We got ourselves Jake Sperry and Paul Smith here from RaceSpotTV as well. And we're going to have a chat to Paul first because, you know, this is going to be a fantastic achievement for Martin Kroenke. He is closing in on most rounds ever won in a row, but Bono Haas goes to the top of the timing sheet. Gregor Hutu is second place. Hutu had pole position for all of about 2 seconds there. Hutu and Haas are going to go out fighting here today, Paul.
And you know what? I wouldn't expect it any other way as well, Will. It's absolutely fantastic. I've said all season that I want to see Martin Kroenke go on and do a perfect season. It would be just historic to see something like that happen. But you know what? A racetrack like this, things can happen around the first part of the lap as well, especially at the start, so you never know what will happen in this one. But Haas, Hutu, they're putting up the fight there from Redline. They want to make sure that they have an opportunity of keeping this championship alive at least for one more round.
Top 2 drivers have punched their ticket to World's Fastest Gamer as well, Jake. Third place, we know, isn't taking part in World's Fastest Gamer. He's got commitment with his university for 2018, does Martin Kroenke. So this is his only real chance to make a statement in 2017. He's made a statement ever since we started this series in March. However, for Kroenke now, this will be a very interesting lap because traditionally, he is always good on that second lap. He has only got to make up 3/100ths of a second, but this is the tightest top 3 we have seen for a very long time.
It certainly is, and you look at how Martin Kroenke has been all-conquering throughout this season. Well, when you look at what Team Redline can do here at a high downforce track like this one, you have to argue that maybe this is their strongest playbook. Remember, Gregor Hutu took the victory here last year to take the title to a decider. Now Bono Haas has to do the same. But yes, Kroenke not doing World's Fastest Gamer is a good decision for him. It means he's got no distractions heading into this series and heading into this championship fight where both Haas and Hutu have that big carrot dangling over their heads.
Yeah, Frank Shawhorse then works himself onto a flying lap. There you see him in towards turn number 1. Fanatec, Team Redline, number 21 machine. We are looking and waiting for Martin Kroenke. He will have to come out of pit road in the next 45 seconds, really, to set himself his next and final qualification lap. He is waiting until the very last moment. The track will, of course, rub it in. Martin Kroenke then will pull out of pit road. For Frank Shawhorse, this is a lap that he will hope will take him into the top 3 for the time being. Hutu is on a lap as well, Johnny.
Yep, so thought I heard Cronke's engine running, but he's definitely on the bubble here. Martin is going to have to go there quickly, but Hutu looks on pace, and Redline always strong at the Nurburgring. A high downforce track. Their car and their setup approach really suits these high downforce circuits. Apex Racing UK also taking a few risks in terms of setup this round. Let's see if it pays off. It is paying off so far for Jamie Fluke, who's best of the rest apart from the top two teams. Here's Hutu heading towards forward curve, using the camber, easing the steering wheel on the exit, heading into turn number 8 here. Let's have a look at his line. Goes for that V line we were talking about, although I think he's actually missed the apex by a country mile there. And as Frank Schottor's here, coming towards the end of the lap, let's see if he climbs his way up the order.
Frank Schottor.
Nope.
4th. That's all he'll get. And again, we know that Gregor Hutu's had a bit of a tough time down at turn 8 and turn 9 of the racetrack. So now on the run down into the Vidal chicane will come the driver of Gregor Hutu. Speed chart coming up for you now. Down to about 65 miles an hour through the Vidal chicane into the Jaguar curve, once known as the Coca-Cola curve. You've got the BMW signs on the outside as well. We're in a McLaren here today, of course. Hutu, final corner towards the line, and he moves up to the top of the timing stands by almost a tenth of a second. He improves then. Now, Martin Cronke is the driver we've got to pay attention to. He's heading himself onto his hot lap here, Johnny, and he will have one opportunity to go for pole position. Realistically, so long as he is ahead of Bono House, he should be okay.
Yeah, definitely. This is very interesting because Bono has never started on the front row here. Beginning the lap is Martin Cronke, and he's always strong. He's always clean on this second lap. The pressure's on, though, today. I think when you're going for the championship, generally, it either goes perfectly or it goes completely the opposite, and it becomes a shambles. Through the Mercedes arena goes Martin Cronke, home circuit, hugging the inside of 3. Boy, this lap looks strong.
He did get a bit of oversteer.
He bumps the curb, though. Yep, bumps the curb, makes a mistake there through turn number 5, heading towards the very narrow section here of 6 and 7.
He actually had a bit of oversteer as well through turn number 3, which compromised his run into 4, which is when he saw him just going over the curb a little bit, down into that sweeping long right-hander before the Michael Schumacher S. Let's listen in. Lifts off the noisy pedal for just one moment. Martin Cronke up to 180 miles an hour, flicks it to the left-hand side, in towards Warnsteiner curve right now. He will come, and this now, we're on board with Martin Cronke. This could be the first part of him getting that championship nailed and in the books. Antoine Heglin is up into P number 11 for Apex Racing UK. A kind of half double take through the Vidal chicane there for Martin Cronke. Compromised his run a little bit. Cost him about half a tenth of a second. Through the final corner, the Jaguar curve. Martin Cronke, would he get pole position? The answer is going to be no. Second place only. Hutu scores pole here today at the Nurburgring, Johnny.
Yeah, brilliant time there from Hutu. Cronke, that mistake at turn 4 cost him, and the final corner as well, missed out by just a touch, but no panic. Martin Cronke has not always qualified on pole this season. It's about the race pace that really counts, but he's had a circuit wheel where it's so tough to overtake. The Nürburgring, it's so narrow. DRS sort of helps, the draft sort of helps too, but it's not as ideal as, for example, I mean, Suzuka was tough too, so I guess they've had a bit of a warm-up here today.
Yeah, what a qualifying session it has been, though. And here is a look at the results from qualifying. Gregor Hutu then will get pole position. 128.231 there for him and Team Redline. Kawana Simsport, second place with Martin Cronke. Bono House and Frank Schottor in 3rd and 4th, respectively, for Team Redline. Jamie Fluke then, the 3rd team represented of Apex Racing UK. Then Mitchell de Jong in 6th. Alexei Yusiakola in 7th. Matt Backham in 8th place. Pashas Gergis, what a good run for him in Core Sim Racing. The team, of course, who won the Blancpain GT Series, and Peter Berriman rounds out your top 10 here today. P number 11 through 13, all Apex Racing UK machines. Then Kazuki Umeshima in 14th. Marta Piatella runs out your top 15. There's the remainder of the results coming up on your screen. Want to give a shout out to Orion Race Team, of course, getting 1 and 2 in World's Fastest Gamer round 1. won just 6 days ago. They're outside, though, of the top 15 here today. Dion Vergers in 27th, also for the Orion race team. It's a busy, packed field here today. And, well, Johnny, we are talking, of course, about the front of the field. We're talking about the potential for a world championship, but we've also got to think about the drivers who are racing to try and avoid having to go through the Pro Series of road racing.
Yep, that's definitely important. So every point matters here, not just at the front for the championship between Kroenke and Haas, but also down the order too. Alexei Siakula, he's returning. He wants a license for next season, so he needs some strong points here today. We will preview this in a second in our pre-race show, but Bono Haas set that lap time very early in the session. Wasn't rubbered in as much. There would have been more grip later on, and he was only 0.04 of a second away from Kroenke. Now, we know Martin didn't make a mistake on his lap, so that's not his quickest lap time. But I think Bono today has got some great pace. Let's wait for the race coming up soon.
Yeah, I agree. What a qualification session we've just had, though, Jake. It has been really good. And we said that Hutu and House won't allow the team of VRS Kayana Sim Sports to basically just take the title lying down. They are going to make him work for it here today.
They certainly are, but it's not as clear-cut as saying if Kroenke doesn't get pole, he doesn't win the race. There's been many races this season where he's been back even on the second row. Sebring certainly comes into mind in that due respect, Will. So when it comes to Martin Kroenke, I do expect him to have a very good start. Because he's having that good start, I believe he'll have the inside line in towards turn number 1. I can't be too short on that, but Martin Kroenke has proven that his race pace is what wins him the race. He just systematically waits, makes the moves, and gets himself forward. It doesn't matter who it is, when it is, whether it's Matt Backham, his teammate Mitchell de Jong, whether it's Hutu House, or name any other name that you want to. Martin Kroenke does deliver the goods, and at his home circuit, when he's only needing, 3 drivers to retire to take the title, I think it's going to be title, yes, but I think everyone's thinking more about whether he'll go 100% this season.
Yeah, indeed so. And I think actually one could argue here today, Paul, this might be the biggest challenge in terms of 100% that Martin Kroenke's had, because we know how good Team Redline traditionally are at this racetrack. And I think that's going to be really important to note, that if the 100% barrier comes down, it will more likely be here than at Circuit of the Americas.
Yeah, certainly the challenges of this track, we've seen it all morning on race day, that it's not the easiest track to overtake at. You know, you've got to really work your overtakes, and if he's stuck behind Gregor Hutu, if Hutu can do a favour for House and just keep House in this battle just to move him in front, I mean, Kroenke doesn't need to make the moves for the championship, but secretly, I think deep down he wants to be known as the guy who went 100% in the season. So really, he wants to give it all out, get that win here today, because it makes him more comfortable to try and get that achievement going into that final round of the championship. But it's going to be one heck of a race, that's for sure.
We do want to try and talk to Hugo Louise. Maybe now's not the best time to talk to, but actually what I want to do is talk to someone who has been in a position of winning a championship. Now, we talk about lineage, and of course, many people know with football franchises, Johnny, you have people who will go from, when a team changes, for example, 3D Gaming to Kayana Sim Sports, then the championships move with them. And Hugo Louise, 2011 champion. You've also got, of course, Kayana Sim Sports winning their second championship in 2016. This could be their third, and they're now starting to close the gap on Team Redline. It'll be 5 titles to Team Redline, 3 titles to Kayana, if indeed we do have Martin Kroenke win here today. And I think this is that gradual step change we've been talking about for the last 2 or 3 years now, about maybe just it being a changing of the guard.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, 8 titles between 2 teams as well is a big thing. Hutu, he's coming of age. He is turning 38 next week in just 7 days' time. So, I don't know if that's affecting him at all or not, but I think the switch to the McLaren really got to Gregor. He really mastered the Williams. He had a lot of experience in that car, and that's something that they need to figure out. And it's the whole team at Redline too, because in my opinion, Bono Haas is one of the best sim racers in the world too. And I know to see him not win a race either just goes to show the effort that Martin Kroenke's put in has been amazing. So, these guys in the end, they go off the racetrack. They don't. every morning they wake up during the week. These drivers don't just think, oh my God, I haven't won a race or this or the other. You just test and you have fun and you enjoy sim racing and you try to do the best job that you can. But I think now when it comes to this championship, look, Martin Kroenkes got 9 fingers on the championship, not even one hand. I mean, basically today he just has to finish to win. And so he's done a great job. But look, to go back to your original point, with it's only been 2 teams. Changing of the guard, yeah, it's happened once, but let's see what happens next season. Same McLaren again, but will anybody else? Well, Bono, he's got 1 year to be settled. Will he improve next season? That's something that will be interesting to look into.
A very interesting point, because again, many people know I was very outspoken at the top of the season about Bono House and the fact he needed to win races. Well, he's not won a race this season because of the fact that, well, no one else has won a race apart from Martin Kroenke. But Jake, you will do the standings. You're the standings guy. You're the one that gets the heat for doing the standings and the rankings and all these sorts of things. Can Bono House call the season a success?
It's difficult. He had a very explosive start to the year in terms of other areas, but when it comes to what he's done over here on iRacing, what he's done in this World Championship, it has been very stop-start. And while, yes, he has been scoring podiums at races and keeping the pressure on, you look at Road America, where he had an abysmal display. You talk about Suzuka, where he didn't have the best of runs either. There have been elements of Bono House's game which has been struggling, and I think that it is a transition effect for Bono House. I think it's not as clear-cut as saying that Bono House is a bad driver, because by no stretch of the imagination he isn't. I think he still needed that little bit more time, even coming off of 2015 and the Blancpain that he was trying, actually 2016 and the Blancpain that he was doing. I think he needed that extra year in Formula 1 to get himself going. I think he will be stronger for 2017, and I think he will be the #1 driver at Redline next season.
Well, there's the points as it stands. We talked about Martin Kroenke so many times. Bono House, 2nd place. You got Frank Shawhorse in 3rd. Martin Piatella in 4th. Matt Backham in 5th place. Gregor Hutu all the way down in P number 9. But I want to cycle it through a little bit here. And this is what we're talking about here today, Paul. It is not the drivers up at the top of the title that we need to talk about. It's also the drivers who are on what I call the bubble. The bubble for getting a license for next year and then not being able to get a license for next year and having to go through the Pro Series of road racing.
Yeah, you want to relieve yourself of having to go through that championship. I mean, you look at that, Graham Carroll is the one in 25th place at the moment. He's got that magic spot. But then you look at the names of people who are outside that, just outside of that, I should say. Yoni Tamala, Alexei Yusilakola, Daniel Beda, Peter Berryman. You know, there's all sorts of top names there who are outside that top 25. And, well, it's a case of they need to really have a good couple of results now in these last 2 rounds to really cement themselves in that top 25.
Yeah, indeed. So 47 drivers have scored themselves points in the 2017 iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series. But it's been an incredible season for Gregor Hutu, of course. Getting that pole position here today, Johnny. And we can't, unfortunately, bring you the lap just yet. We will try and do so as quickly as we can, he says, as the screen goes off to enable us to do so. But yeah, for Gregor Hutu, it's been an incredible lap here today.
I mean, that's his first pole of the season. He's had a move as well of houses, and this season he hasn't put a full force of effort into it either. So, I mean, his last pole in the series was actually at this round last year, which he claimed victory at. So, he's very strong here. Redline just can't figure out those low downforce circuits, or even sometimes the medium downforce circuits. It's a circuit like the Nurburgring where there's not too much top end speed. They seem very, very quick. And Martin's got his work cut out here, I'll tell you that much. I mean, he, despite the fact that he's going to be more focused on winning the title and all that kind of stuff. But, I mean, this win streak could come to an end. And that's, if he's going for that Golden State Warriors 73-9, he's got his work cut out for him this afternoon. I'll tell you that much, because Bono House off the start line. He's on the clean side of the grid. Yeah, I know Martin is on the inside, but man, is that going to be tough there on the dirty line coming into the race. I mean, there's just no grip there. Although you know, you never know heading into this first corner. It's very wide. Drivers run wide here. The battle is not going to be over at the start of the race until the exit of Turn 1 heading into the Mercedes arena. Turn 1 can really cause a stir for a lot of these drivers.
Having a look at Gregor Hutu's lap, there's two key points, I think, that Gregor got that pole position. The first one was through Turn 3 and 4. That car looked so much more planted. Then also through the Schumacher S. He does seem to have a better line through there, able to carry more average speed, which again, in a Formula type car is really important. Hutu, this is his lap, heading himself out the final corner towards the start finish line. This is where Hutu got himself pole position secured here today at the Nurburgring. His first in 1 year for the number 66 Team Redline machine. At this point, when we were talking about this, we hadn't actually have seen Gregor Hutu, sorry, we hadn't even seen Martin Kroenke even come out onto track to start his warm-up lap. There is Martin Kroenke, as he did go onto his flying lap here. And this is what I want to talk about then, Johnny. You know, exit out the Jaguar curve, that's fine. Down towards turn number 1, that is fine. But I'm going to pause it in a moment through turn number 3 and 4, and that is where Martin Kroenke lost pole position.
Yeah, it was more through turn 4. I mean, turn 3, I think he clipped very well. It was just bouncing over the curve at 4, and that just completely threw the car all over the place. He definitely lost a 10th, I'd say, around there. The car wasn't planted. These open wheelers definitely don't take curbs well. So, I mean,
That's
just not good, Will.
Yeah, that's the issue. So we're just having a look there from our aerial coverage. We'll zoom in and show it to you there. I mean, he almost had all 4 wheels off the track. And you just see, as a consequence of that, he's fighting the steering wheel as he exits the Mercedes-Benz arena, heading himself down into turns 5, 6, 7, and 8. The rest of the lap was fine, but he just lost that half a tenth very early on. It's very difficult then to recover from then. We are almost at the point of being able to get ready for the race. We've got a number of people here. I'm going to ask them then, who's going to take the victory here today? Going to start with you, Paul Smith.
I'm going to throw one out there and say Bono House.
Jake.
I would love it to be Kroenke.
Jake.
Kroenke. He's got too much form coming into this event. Even when he doesn't start on pole, he gets good starts, and even when he doesn't have the best of starts, he then puts in the lap times that just simply blow everyone else out of the water. I think Kroenke's got this one.
What about you, Johnny?
I'm going to go for, I'm going to go for a red line driver. I'm going to say Gregor just because of track position, but I will not be surprised if Bono climbs his way up through the field.
All the way from 3rd place, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the field. I mean, Kroenke and Hutu, they've got how many world titles between them? 7. I mean, if you, they, no offense to the others, but the point is as well, one thing we haven't mentioned, by the way, just a quick hello is to Alex Simpson. First race of the season. He's back. We thought he'd retired without racing, and he's decided to come back, and he starts from P28. Definitely not a good qualifying position. We're going to embarrass him for a second, but it is his first race back, so well done to see him there, the team boss at Apex Racing UK.
Yeah, indeed so then. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're now getting ready for the race. Round number 11 or 12 of the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series here on RaceSpotTV and on iRacing Live. We need to take a couple of minutes to get ready for the race, and when we do, we'll be back with the start of the 11th round of the championship. Cheers, guys.
iRacing, you wanted the best, you got them 4 abreast. Often imitated, never duplicated. The greatest show under the world of outlaws.
guys, Christopher Bell here. As you guys know, iRacing is coming out with dirt, and it's been a long time coming. So I'm here today to kind of show you around the sprint cars and hopefully give you some insight for whenever you first drive it. So here we are at Williams Grove, gonna go out and make a couple laps in the 410 wing sprint car. I'm on default setup with a gear change to a 522. As we roll out of the pits, you guys might notice that the car wants to pull left and you have to hold the steering wheel right to go straight. That's normal for a sprint car because you have so much stagger, it's always trying to turn the car left. Once you get up to speed, that goes away. Going down the straightaways, Williams Grove has really long straightaways and really tight corners. The big wings on the sprint cars, it always wants to pull you left into the corner, so it doesn't take much steering wheel input to get the car into the corner. A big key for the wing sprint cars is that they always like to go straight. They don't like to be too sideways, so the less steering wheel input you can have and the straighter you can keep the car, the faster you'll go. As the track slickens off, you'll be able to play with the setup to get the car driving even straighter yet. And that's a couple laps around Williams Grove. So here we are at Eldora Speedway. I'm on baseline setup with a gear change to a 511. As we roll out at Eldora Speedway, one thing that you'll notice is that the corners are really sweeping and it's almost a circular shape. The big thing about Eldora is just keeping that steering wheel straight. The straighter you keep the wheel and the less steering input that you give the car, the faster you'll go. The fast line around Eldora will be right around the inside wall in the corners and then with a big arc towards the outside walls down the straightaways. Then once the track slicks off, you'll be able to follow the groove up towards the outside wall, where the famous Eldora High Line comes into play. So now we're at Volusia Speedway Park with the 410 wing sprint car. I'm on baseline setup with a 511 gear, the same as what we ran at Eldora. Whenever you roll out on the racetrack, you'll notice that Volusia is similar to Eldora. They have long sweeping corners, and it's kind of circular in shape. At Volusia, whenever the track is fast, you'll want to be right down against the concrete wall in the corners with a nice big arc down the straightaway. Whenever the track starts to slicken up, you'll be able to follow the groove up higher and higher. Whenever you get into turns 3 and 4 though, the groove might get up onto the shelf, which is the flatter section of the racetrack, and then it becomes very difficult to exit turn 4 without getting into the wall. And that's just one of the characteristics of Volusia Speedway Park. Hope you guys have fun.
It's supposed to be a homecoming. It's supposed to be at a time when Martin Kroenke can come into Germany for the 11th round of the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series and walk out being champion and maintaining his 100% win record. Now, even though he only needs to finish 28th or above in order to win that championship, he's going to have to do it the hard way if he wants to get himself 11 from 11 in the series this year, because the driver of Gregor Hutu says, look, I've not given up just yet. Hutu has pole position here this afternoon for the 11th round of the championship here at the Nurburgring. So this is the scene that has been set for us. It's Wolfenson and Jonathan Simon as we are at the Nurburgring. It's a cool day today, also slightly windy here in Nurburgring, Germany. We will be running here today for what will be a fantastic race. Track length is just over 5 kilometers. That's 3.1 miles in length. Johnny, we're ready to go.
Yep, definitely. 60 laps of racing coming up. And we're expecting a one-stop race this afternoon too. As usual, that pit window will open around lap 23. And that's going to be critical because this circuit's so tough to overtake on, Will. So that's something to look out for come the race. And also, welcome back to Peter Berryman. This is his first race. He starts from 10th. His first race since his pole position at Silverstone. Hasn't returned since.
And yeah, it's good to see him and also Alex Simpson back in the fold for this race as well. Here is the starting grid heading into today's event. Gregor Hutu, 1 minute 28.231 qualifying effort for him. Exactly 5/100ths of a second ahead of Martin Cronkey, Johnny.
Yep, great time there. We know Cronkey made a mistake, so I think without those mistakes, Cronkey may have snuck his way back up into the pole position, but it's not the end of the world. We know that Martin has clean swept the race wins, but not exactly qualifying. So this is Gregor's first pole, though, this season. This is a very interesting dynamic here, and we know that Cronkey does have 9 fingers on the trophy, and he's pretty much going to wrap it away here this afternoon, unless there is contact, which we don't want to see.
No, we definitely don't. Bonner House in 3rd place, Freck Shawhorse in 4th. Means you've got 3 Team Redline cars inside your top 4 here today. Row 3 has got Jamie Fluke. He is the highest placed non-Redline Orcawana Sim Sports driver. Mitchell de Jong in P number 6, though, Johnny. A bit too far back to help out Martin unless there's problems ahead of him.
Yep, so something... Yeah. I like the accent you put on there too. Mitchell, that's weird for him to be in P6. He's normally been Cronkey's best challenger this season. So behind Jamie Fluke, Jamie Fluke is one of the hardest workers I've met, and he is going to slowly improve and gradually improve. I think Apex Racing UK, based on what's happened over the past year, they just need to make sure he stays there, and I think he will. I think he enjoys that team dynamic with Anton Hegelin, the rest of the guys there, Peter Berryman, etc. They've got a good bunch of drivers coming up. Let's just see what they can do to end the season in terms of confidence building. There's
the rest of your top 10. Patras Gergis in 9th, Peter Berryman in 10th place, Antoine Hegelin, Marky Jensen, P number 11, P number 12 here today. We do seem to have just lost part of our feed. I'm not quite sure why. We'll try and get it back for you as quickly as we can here from the Nurburgring. There's the rest of the grid then coming up on your screen momentarily. We might just have to take one quick moment away, ladies and gentlemen. Give us 1 second. We'll be right back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are ready then for the green flag here. Lights are about to go on top of the iRacing gantry. We are ready for the start of this motor race. Lights go red. Lights will go green. We are underway at the Nurburgring. Good start by Hutu. A better start, though, by Martin Kroenke. In towards turn number 1 they come. Martin Kroenke, race lead. Will he get the inside line through turn number 1? Hutu goes out wide. Martin Kroenke with the race lead. What a miserable start there by Team Redline, because De Jong from third, so from 6th place is up into 3rd position. What a start, though, by the driver of Martin Kroenke. Hutu down into 2nd place, De Jong down into 3rd, Bono House is down into 4th place right now. Shawhorse has actually got himself Matt Backham alongside him as they work themselves down through 5, 6 and 7, and Backham gets pushed off a little bit wide there. He loses 3 positions, Johnny.
Wow, what a start from all Coanda cars. Here's a scrap going on between Shotthorst and Berryman heading into the Dunlop hairpin. Berryman there also a terrific start. He finds himself in P6, battling away for P5 with Break Shotthorst. He started in 10th, don't forget. And what a start from De Jong and Kroenke. Off the line, perfect traction, both on the dirty side of the grid, and that didn't phase them at all. They were rockets off that grid.
They've been very good at their starts this year, and this seems to be another example of that. And now Kroenke, he's trying to break the DRS toe from Gregor Hutu. Of course, DRS will not be available this lap. It won't be available next lap. But Martin Kroenke knows that if he wants any chance of dominating this race from the front, he needs to be 1 second ahead come the start of lap number 3. And he does make a bit of a mistake there through Vidal into the Jaguar hairpin, Jaguar curve even, on lap number 1. But Martin Kroenke leads this motor race. It's Hutu in 2nd place. De Jong did look very close to Hutu in those first couple of corners, but has fallen back now to 7/10 of a second behind the finish, number 66 driver.
Yeah, so they've got a chance there. Down the back of the pack, there is so much scrapping going on right now. They all head through the first few corners. Almost had 4 out of the main straight. Accident at turn 1. Whoa, that's a Vortex car upside down. And that was Stephen Michaels.
Yeah, that was like 1999 at this racetrack all over again. On board with Stephen Michaels. And they were about 3-4 wide at one point. Stephen Michaels just gets tagged, goes upside down. You can just see, well, that's it for him. That car goes upside down. Stephen Michaels does land back on its feet, but he is now at the very rear of the field on pit road. Alexei Yusiakola currently scored in the 7th position. Down in your mid-pack, though, there is so much going on. It's almost impossible to keep up to date with all of it. Here's the driver on Ficarra, for example, all the way down in P number 27, battling it out with Diego Oliveira. Just ahead of him in the positive sim racing car. I just saw Kazuki Umeshima, for example, involved in a battle with Ilka Happara and Oli Pakara. That is down in P number 16 on track. So there's so many little things going on right now, Johnny.
Yeah, and we missed a couple of incidents too heading into the Vidal chicane. And that was Ali Pakala was involved in them. Yalvaz was spun off the racetrack. Yalvaz all the way down the order in P28, although he's caught the back of the pack. So if he's got any damage, that will be the only thing hampering him at this point in time. But more importantly, Kroenke has broken away from the DRS zone of Hutu. DRS enabled now this lap around. Kroenke 1.1 seconds ahead. Everybody in the top 4 broken with DRS from the driver behind. Yeah,
having a look at a couple of replays at the start of the race. First one with Yuta Saito as we go green. Now let's have a look at Martin Kroenke. You can see he just gets himself ahead of the driver of Gregor Hutu. Hutu did actually brake very deep into that corner, but when all was said and done, it was Kroenke who just had the better run. Here's a look from up above then. Kroenke right-hand side of your screen, Hutu on the left. It seems to be the second phase of that start that Martin Kroenke is so much better. All the Team Redline guys were really struggling into turn number 1. I almost thought that Hutu and Kroenke would come together in turn number 1. It didn't end up happening. Kroenke, the locker commander, carries on for him. But just having a look on board of Mitchell de Jong, you just see how close he gets at 1 or 2 points to the rear of Gregor Hutu. But then after that, just kind of falls back into position.
Yeah, so de Jong was into turn 3 on the opening lap. He had a good door open there, but he thought better of it. This race is very long. There's plenty of time to catch Gregor. And knowing how strong de Jong has been in terms of race pace this season, he's definitely got a shot here at P2. Just see how much this gap extrudes between Kroenke and Hutu for the opening stint. Now remember, the pit window opens on lap 23, so we still have plenty of time remaining until that stage.
Live timing and scoring, ladies and gentlemen, is available. Visit RaceSpot.tv/timing to keep up to date with your favourite drivers over the course of this motor race. Having a look now at the driver of Kevin Ellis Jr. and Marty Piatella. This is one going on track. We've also got Pashas Gergis and Jamie Fluke going on right now. That one is for P number 8 and 9 on track.
Yeah, Fluke tried to have a look around the outside, around Pascal Sturgis, and these are two of the hardest workers I know, and they're both scrapping away in the top 10. This is something, Will, where, you know, Gergis, for example, you speak to him 2 years ago and he's trying to make his way up through the ranks, and now he's top 10 in a world championship race. You know, this is hard work at its finest. You know, this is human beings putting in the work to get better, trying to be smarter, trying to understand how to beat the world's best, and now they're one of the world's best.
And also worth noting the fact that Matt Backham is there in the mix as well. Backham, of course, went off on lap number 1. Hasn't really been able to do much since then. He is now down in P number 11 on track. We're right on board of him as they come down into the Vidal chicane. DRS flaps are wide open for many people. ERS will be in use for many people as well. This is the second strongest opportunity to overtake on the track, and you can just see how the field all funnels together as they do so. On board now with Frank Shawhorse. He is currently in the 5th place. He's got his teammate Bono House ahead of him. Surely there's team orders. Don't pass Bono today.
Yeah, maybe. I wouldn't say so. Frank's a great talent on the right day. He almost reminds me of Alexei Usiakula in a way. You know, he's got the capabilities to win races. It's just whether or not he nails it on the day. I think Bono and Frank, though, coming in as rookies this season, have been very impressive for their pace. They've just come in at the worst time because they've had to deal with a man who's won 10 races in a row.
Paul Ilbrink, though, and Daniel Arndt Wensing, they just swapped positions. They are teammates in Radicals and Lime. P19, well, that's now Daniel Arndt Wensing's place. Paul Ilbrink is down into the 20th position. Look at this train of drivers, though. You got Jamie Fluke, Antoine Hegelin, Pascalis Gergis, Mac Backham, all there pretty much nose to tail. We go on board for the moment of Antoine Hegelin from the front. Now from the rear, you can see that Pascalis Gergis has got huge pressure from Matt Backham as we speak.
And the dirty air is a killer at this point in time. Backham having a look there. That's not an overtaking spot, but Gergis runs wide. And now they head into turn 12. Gergis compromised his line there, and Backham has a good shot here, Will, going into the Vidal chicane.
It's a very easy spot when all is said and done there for the driver of Matt Backham. Moves himself down to the inside, gets the pass complete. Move Matt Backham up into the 10th place for the time being. Gergis cannot respond down into the Jaguar curve. There might be some DRS flats open, wide open. Piatella is one of these drivers looking to try and get a run down in towards turn number 1, the start of the Mercedes-Benz Arena. Piatella looks to the outside because of the fact the driver, Marcus Jensen, goes to the inside. And what a move there by Marcus Jensen over Gergis. Gergis loses 2 positions as he got caught from absolutely nowhere by that driver, Marcus Jensen.
And hats off to Gergis, gave Jensen the space because that was from a country mile behind. Drivers don't like that kind of move just because they're, I mean, yeah, a lot of luck there for Jensen. The fact that he's got a respectful driver in Gergis who won't turn in on you there. And Piatella also made his way through, so good stuff there. Now, we mustn't forget Marcus Jensen. He's had a very strong season, and he's one of our youngest drivers on the grid. And there's the poise that I never want to see leave him for the next 20 years plus of his career, probably.
He was about 3.5 to 4 car lengths back. There was a little bit of contact between the two of the drivers in towards turn number 1, but that was opportunistic like you've never seen. But out front, it's only been 6 laps into this race, and Gregor Hutu's already 2 seconds back from Martin Kroenke.
Yeah, I don't know what Gregor can do. I think it may be over at this stage. I know it's only 10% of the way through this race, but this is what we've seen all season. Only person who's going to beat Kroenke for the rest of this season is probably himself.
Down towards the start-finish line then to begin at lap number 7. Ilka Happana. Let's talk about Orion Race Team for a moment. Ilka Happana down in P number 15, right there in that scrap. And of course, Orion Race Team are buzzing after winning round 1 of iRacing's McLaren's World's Fastest Gamer at Suzuka just 6 days ago. And again, Orion Racing, we always... Oh, I know, yes, another one. Another one where Gergis has just been taken by surprise through turn number 1. This time it's driver Kevin Ellis Jr. now working on the outside through turn 2, now into turn number 3, and it's very close to two-way contact.
And contact again. Ellis Jr. sent flying into the air, and that was through by the driver of Ilkka Haapala. Had nowhere to go, and just clumsy incidents there. I can see what Jurgis was doing though, Will. We'll have a look at the replay, but Jurgis was trying to close the door there on Kevin Ellis Jr. And yeah, it didn't end well. So just such a tight spot on the racetrack.
Right, this is important. This is more important than people might think at this stage of the game. Because if either of these drivers retire, that means you've got 29 drivers running in this event today. If one other driver retires, Martin Kroenke is world champion. It is worth noting retirees at this stage of the motor race already. But what it has done is it spread out the mid-pack a bit more. Backham is now up into P number 10 after his incident earlier on. Marcus Jensen now in P number 11. Marty Piatella in 12th place. Kazuki Umeshima in 13th place. But it's not been a good day, really, for Umeshima. Not the kind of qualifying we expect of him. Not really the kind of race pace we're expecting from him.
Yep, so I'm just having a look at Ilkka Haapala entering the pits. But you mentioned that as well. It's critical for Kroenke in terms of the championship here. He definitely looks like he's going to seal it out in a great fashion here. You know what I always notice, Will, is that when drivers go for the championship, it's always goes one way or the other. Another incident as well.
Yeah, Kevin Ellis Jr., I just saw him on the timing screens. Everything went wrong for him. So let's have a look at the replay and cycle this one back for you. This was down in towards turn number 1 again. This might again involve Paslis Gergis.
God.
We had controversy a week ago in the Blancpain GT series. We got controversy once again here today. This time it is the Apex Racing UK team versus the team of Core Sim Racing. And it seems to me that these guys are just getting too close to each other down through turn number 1. And that time by, it was Mogar Feeler that ended up losing out, thinking, you know what, guys, I'm here for the long haul.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. I mean, I definitely don't think Ellis Jr. did that deliberately, but just, I don't want to see, you don't want to see stuff like that happen. I mean, George has been bashed around by everybody this race too, but at the same time, I think this is where George just needs to calm down. I mean, he hasn't been treated well by a lot of drivers. He also squeezed Kevin Ellis Jr. It's getting out of hand here. You know, there's no referees in motor racing, so you can't just give a yellow card out. You just have to focus on it mentally yourself. So hopefully these guys who are, two great young men out here, hopefully this doesn't set the scene for the rest of the race for them.
Of course, there are incident limits and there are penalties. Drivers who exceed an incident point limit will be given a 30-second stop and hold penalty. Drivers that then exceed the incident limit again will get a 60-second stop and hold penalty. We have got race control, Shannon Whitmore, Tyler Hudson, and the rest of the iRacing officials, like they do every single race, make sure that what happens on track stays as clean as possible. So there might well be some post-race infractions. There might well be, for one or two drivers, a look at maybe getting themselves a 30-second stop and hold penalty. But out front, Martin Kroenke leads the way. And here are your movers and shakers then. After 9 laps, or 60 being scored complete here this afternoon, Kroenke is at 1 position. Gregor Hutu is down 1. And then Mitchell de Jong up 3 places from 6th place on the grid. Peter Berriman is up 4 places as well. And I want to talk about Berriman very quickly because he has had a fantastic start to this motor race. And having a look at the lap times, he is right on pace with both Frank Shawhorse and also Bono House. And he has been now for the last couple of laps here, Johnny. Having a look at the lap gaps, and you'll see that he's gained about 0.3 of a second over the course of the last 3 laps.
Yep, so he's doing his stuff here. Peter Berriman behind, also very close, but Shottos DRS, who's been stuck behind his teammate all race, heading into turn 1. Deep on the brakes is Frank Shottos, and clips the apex really well there. It's just that bump on the apex of turn 1, Will. We know in every series it really causes these cars, or it makes it a catastrophe to set up in the past 2 weeks of testing, or for most of these guys 1 week, because most of them were at the Sim Racing Expo last week.
As Matt Backham tries to go down the inside of Jamie Fluke there, cannot do so. He then tries the outside of turns 2 and turn 3. Again, cannot do so. So it does seem to be the big battles going on down in your mid-pack here today will be between the JCL or Apex Racing UK machine and the VRS Carina Sim Sports machines, because you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 race drivers all in 2 teams, all between P number 8 and P number 12.
Yeah, wow. Good scraps here. And so, I mean, you expect Beckham to be higher up the order, right? So, yeah, I think just his obviously poor qualifying position didn't help, starting from 8. Marcus Jensen had a couple of top 5 finishes this season. He's quick, but Hegelin is at the top of this bunch. How about that? Anton Hegelin, the Frenchman, he's ever improved. He's been in this series for so many years, Will. You've known him for quite a while, but I think this season has been his best of his career so far. He's been spot on each race.
Yeah, and definitely, you know what? Early on in the season, you and I were talking about the fact that Apex Racing UK seemed to almost be dead in the water. Then you come to tracks like this and you say, actually, you know what? They've still got a lot of spark in them. If they can go toe-to-toe with the likes of Piatella and Backham and be leading that battle right now, it shows that the depth of drivers that Apex Racing UK have, the strength of drivers that Apex Racing UK have, is really important for them. It's down to the inside, goes back in once again through turn number 1, and again, he cannot make that pass into that first corner.
He got closer, he had a look, and it's so difficult that first corner because you don't actually see the exit until the apex of the corner. So if you've overshot the corner, you just have to anticipate it. Here they come through turn number 5. And this is where the racetrack narrows. There's no margin for error here. So difficult to go too wide. It's all camber through these corners too, which helps. You want to roll onto the throttle and roll off. This track reminds me a lot of Watkins Glen, Will, which isn't on the calendar this season, but the amount of camber going through all these corners and the lack of... I mean, actually, Watkins Glen has a lot of tarmac runoff, doesn't it? So
it does,
this track's the opposite. Plenty
well,
of grass
it didn't
runoff.
used to, did it? And that's the thing,
Yeah.
a lot of tracks have become kind of more tarmacked on the outside of corners over the years. But we were talking about this a couple of, in fact, last week as well, that the thing about the Nurburgring, also worth noting, is that it does pay homage to the original Nurburgring itself. When you go down to the hairpin, for example, the banking of that corner pays homage to the good old-fashioned Das Carousel. And you've got that throughout this racetrack, even though it's a smaller version, somebody say a sterilized version of the original Green Hell. It does seem to have some form of resemblance to what we saw on that old racetrack.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, the Nürburgring's a great racetrack. Even the Grand Prix circuit, forget the whole Nordschleife, the Grand Prix circuit's amazing. Jensen goes deep into turn 1. And he's under attack and under pressure from Marti Piatella behind. I think he's going to maintain that position. Turn 1 will at this racetrack as Olli Pakala here is close behind Daniel Wensing. Let's actually have a look at this scrap. Pakala alongside Wensing and the Radicals online car. It looks like Wensing will slot his way in front. But I just want to quickly say, Will, turn 1 here. What's that Indy phrase at Indianapolis where it says there are drivers who have hit the wall or drivers who are going to hit the wall? Turn 1 here, it's like there are drivers who have locked up at turn 1 or are going to lock up. It's one of those corners that's just so weird.
You're doing one of
never
the
get it
two.
right under braking.
You're always going to do one of the two. So we're just going to have another look then at Daniel Arndt Wensing. This is him, again, from about 2 car lengths back, hard on the brakes in towards turn number 1. That will be Olli Pakala, you've just seen then on the right-hand side of your screen on this replay. Pakala has got a little bit of scuff marks on the right-hand side of that Team Redline chassis. So a little bit of damage that Olli Pakala is having to deal with right now. As unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, we seem to have had another one of our issues. So we are going to step aside for just one moment and take a quick commercial break. We'll be back with more after this.
iRacing. You wanted the best, you got them for abreast. Often imitated, never duplicated. The greatest show on dirt, the world of outlaws.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Again, we really do apologise. We have had a couple of technical issues here today that we've never had before. So welcome back then, as we're riding on board from the rear of drivers. As we'll bring it back to the action. This is lap number 14 of 60. Right now, Martin Kroenke leads by 2.6 seconds over the driver of Gregor Houti. Now, the thing is, that's only 2.6 seconds here, Johnny. That is not enough to be quote-unquote safe.
No, you're right, but it has grown lap after lap. It's one of those slow, consistent deaths for Gregor Houti. Although he's still going to be on the podium, still going to claim P2, and nothing else to be fazed by. I think more importantly, Gregor Houtu's actually broken away from Mitchell de Jong. 3.7 seconds, the next gap.
Yeah, indeed. So the gap between P2 and P3, that is worth noting. It is 3.6 seconds. De Jong himself is 1.6 seconds ahead of Bono House. Worth having a look at the lap gaps. If we can't get them just yet, but we will do as soon as we can. But Bono House, 1.6 seconds out the line. Last time by, though, Bono House was a 100th of a second faster, but Frank Shawhorse and Peter Berryman are catching both of those drivers. So we could have a four-way scrap coming towards pit road there, Johnny.
Yeah, hopefully. So let's have a wait for it on lap 23 of the event. Only a one-stop race, as we know. Well, at least that's when the pit window opens. I noticed that there are one or two drivers, weirdly, this season going past the 50% distance mark on their tires. I would always pit before that because you're heavier on fuel at this point of the race. And remember Joni Tormler at Monza, no pit stop at all. Wow.
He almost made it work.
Yeah.
He just kind of lost a lot of speed at the end of the motor race. But if you're going to do it at a track, you do it at Monza, really, don't you?
Yeah, Monza, not too much tire degradation, simple track, all straight lines, just chicanes. Pretty much all the work you're doing on the tires is in low speed sections, so that's why it suits the car so well. One thing I want to see change for next season, and every single driver will tell you here, is if there's a way to get these tires to degrade a little bit more, or even if iRacing's working on possibly multiple tire compounds. iRacing could do anything, as we know. Hopefully that's a hint for next season. Let's hopefully get that. I'd be very, very excited if they introduce that.
Someone go and tweet Steve Myers and ask him the question, because you'll probably get an answer quicker than what we could get. RaceSpotTV /timing for live timing and scoring, ladies and gentlemen, of course, if you want to keep up to date throughout the course of this motor race. But we've got two retirees so far, Alex Simpson and Stephen Michaels. You'll hear the word retirees today because it is important. This guy needs to finish P number 28 or above, Johnny. If he does so, he wins a world championship. Right now, two more people retire. He is guaranteed to be world champion.
Yep, so he's got that extra point for leading a lap. He's got the bonus points, so that definitely helps him out. And Martin Kroenke, what a season he's had. He's just been on it each race, hasn't taken a step off. I want to see him in world's fastest gamer. That's what I want to see.
You know what? I almost want to see him in world's fastest gamer, even though we know that he's not able to commit to it for next year, if that makes sense. Because I think that right now, the competition that we have, not just in iRacing, but across the sim racing spectrum, you know, Martin Kroenke, I would rank him on the top 5 sim racers in the world right now. You would rank probably Gregor Houtu as one of the other top 5 sim racers in the world. But Martin Kroenke has shown over the past 2 years just how incredible he is, as Martin Piatella is battling out with Marcus Jensen right now. P11, P number 12 on track. I don't want to talk about him for too long. I want to talk about Peter Berryman. Berryman, the last time we saw him, he had pole position at Silverstone, as you talked about earlier on, Johnny. Right now, he is still going at the same speed as Frank Shawhorse. Berryman has the opportunity to really upset the apple cart with Team Redline and their P3, P4, P5 battle.
Yeah, he definitely does. And Berryman's good to see him back and strong as well. I was very concerned with his starting position at 10th, but he had a great start like Mitchell de Jong, and they don't have to deal with too much traffic come the pit stop time. As you said earlier, Will, this is going to get so interesting in about 6 laps time. Who's going to pounce first? Now just remember, when it comes to the pit stops, you have to wait for that gap in the mid-pack to open up, and at the moment there doesn't really seem to be any gap there, so these drivers will have to wait for everybody else behind to move out of the way first.
Well, this goes back to what you talked about a moment ago, over your confusion with some drivers and how they've not gone the traditional route and gone along their first pit stop. But sometimes it's almost a necessity because of the fact that if there's not a gap available, it is probably better off to wait for a couple of laps and then come on towards pit road. Right, let's just have a look down through the field. You have got, outside of your top 20, Mogar Filo, Dion Vergis and Diego Oliveira. These are guys who are battling to get into the 2018 iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series. No championships, no prizes on stake for them. It's just the pride of not having to go through the Prix series of road racing.
Yeah, exactly. So those every point matters, as we said about before. That cutoff point for who's going to get the license for next season as well. And yeah, going back to the pit stop, you don't want to pit and then be stuck behind a driver who was doing the same lap times before you pitted anyway. You might as well just do them on your own in front. So definitely, and at a racetrack like this in the Nurburgring, you know, if it's Monza, different story, overtaking a little bit easier, but at the Nurburgring, much, much tougher. Berryman, though, he's dropped off. Have you noticed that? He's lost a tenth or two these past few laps. Again, lost 2 tenths last lap around. I think Bono here is... I don't think Bono's really holding up Frake. I think it's just the fact that they're both identical on pace, and Frake, the dirty air, just isn't helping him. So we'll have a look at the pit stop time. When that comes, Backham battling away with Fluke.
Here we are then, and Backham still round the outside through turn number 2, turn number 3 now. And for Matt Backham, can he make it work? The next corner will be his. Matt Backham, yes, he can. He moves himself and gets himself ahead of Jamie Fluke up into P number 9. But that was a pass about 40 seconds in the making, Johnny.
Great stuff from Matt Backham. And he's up into P8. P9, excuse me. He's got Anton Hegelin in P8 in front. That's another Apex Racing UK driver to cross off his list. And he just can't lose it here on the exit of the hairpin. Look, he's got the pace. He's got the speed. That car looks great. The traffic here today is the biggest key, and that's why the starts of de Jong and Berryman, as I said, were so critical, because I don't think they'd be high up in the order as they are right now, just based on pace alone. The dirty air is making a huge difference. Those DRS and ERS trains too, and so great pass from Backham at such a tough circuit to pass at.
It is worth noting, though, that Mitchell de Jong has a 1.1 second advantage over Bonner House. So House cannot really get into that dirty air of Mitchell de Jong at all. Or is Bonner House saving his tyres? Is Frank Shawhorse saving their tyres? Are these two Team Redline drivers working together to try and help out Hutu as much as possible? Normally, again, and I will say this on record, Dom Duhan has said it a number of times, there are no team orders in Team Redline. That does not mean there are team strategy calls. Like, these guys will work together for a common goal.
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing, knowing Bonner Haas for 7 years, he will never do team orders for anybody else. I say that in a nice way. I think just because he's always the one in front. You know, what people don't notice is Bonner Haas in P4, to me, this season, seeing him in this position, it's so odd. It's spectacular. It's weird seeing Gregor Hutu not winning races. I feel uncomfortable. Does that make sense? It's something that you're just not used to. So this is still taking some time for me to warm up to. We've had 10 races of it. This is the 11th. But Bono, as you said, you know, that's an interesting philosophy you bring up. Martin Pitts, he finds himself coming up to these two, and they hold him up for a lap or two. Gregor will be right in there. He's only 3 seconds behind.
And again, you know, you've got to remember that in most sim racing teams, these people are not just teammates, they are also friends. So there are times when the line between what a teammate would do, if you're the likes of, I don't know, let's say Alonso and Van Dorn, compared to the likes of a Mitchell de Jong and a Martin Kroenke, who I know are really good friends outside of sim racing. They will make the opportunity to go and talk to each other. It's not just turning laps and sharing setups. For these guys, it does become a fact that, you know what, screw the consciousness, screw all the team order situations. I'm there to help you because you're in a better situation than what I am.
Yeah, I really like that you bring that up. Some of the teammates I've had in the past are amazing, good friends. I had my old team manager and I, from 2-3 years ago, have a conversation the other day, just chatting away about random stuff, nothing to do with racing. And that's what you do. Everybody thinks these racers just wake up every morning, just look at a poster of their wall of their sim racing car. No, they just wake up, do whatever they do in their everyday life, race, have a fun, have a joke around, and they're just immensely talented. And that's why they're at this stage of their career and they love it. They breathe sim racing, but they also understand, I think the best drivers also understand when to take a break from sim racing.
Yes.
So, you know, and that's what Hutu has spoken about so well in the past, how Hutu on the day of the race, he'll just come in, do hot lapping for an hour, he's ready for the race. He doesn't go and spend 5 hours on race day. You know, he just wants to rest. And I think he's so experienced, he got to a stage in his career where he wasn't testing 3-4 hours a day. He'd put in maybe 1 hour a day and he was winning championships doing that.
And people look at, like, Lewis Hamilton, for example. Lewis Hamilton, yeah, he might be, you know, a party boy. You might see him on yachts and out partying and doing all this sort of stuff. You know what? If that's the way that you relax and that's the way that you win world championships, that's what you do. You don't need to be in the gym every 20 minutes.
Yeah, thank you. No. Actually, you do, but he doesn't. The thing is that he posts more about his holidaying than he does about the hard work he puts in.
Yes.
He doesn't have to post every single second of his weight training and his gym work. I don't want to see that. You know, I want to see him on fancy boats and fancy planes. I find that funny and interesting. It's cool. So, but the thing is as well, if you're looking for young sim racers to join your team, you look for the exact opposite of what we just described. You look for people who breathe sim racing because they're young and they have so much to learn. So they have to put in those 4 hours a day. And that's something I've seen hands down is for the likes of Jurgis out here today in the grid, Jamie Fluke, Marcus Jensen, all these guys are insanely talented, put in the hard work, and they're rewarded here with good results.
See your players in commentary, you know, you look at some people like Jake Sperry, Jack Stiles, for example, you know, they live and breathe sim racing because they're just starting out in the industry. They need every single moment and every single opportunity they can get. And it's exactly the same if you're behind the wheel of the car. You compare the likes of, you know, certain drivers, as we were just talking about. We're right on board, by the way, with Martin Piatella versus Marcus Jensen, P11, P12 on track. And Martin Piatella hasn't had a good race. He qualified badly, to be fair, for Piatella. This is normally the time of the race that you see Piatella coming into the top 10 just before pit stops. But Piattella's not had a good race here today. But you have a look at commentators as well. It's the same situation. It's not an easy job being a commentator. So you almost saw a little half move there by Sure Horse over Bonner House. You know what Sure Horse was doing there? He was saying, just letting you know, pick up the pace, otherwise I will find a way past you.
Oh, up the inside, he goes through. Brilliant stuff from Freek Schotthorst. Barges his way through Bonner House.
Team orders my art.
Oh, wow, that's a good move from Freek. I think he was sick of being behind Bono for 22 laps straight. And Bono now, I don't know if it was scripted. Bono with good spatial awareness. He didn't really turn into the corner. I don't know if that was scripted or not. Definitely didn't look like it. Let's just hand the move of the day to Freek Schotthorst. Yeah. And by the way, pit window open.
Pit window's open. Here's the replay of Freek Schotthorst. And this again, team orders do not exist in Team Redline. If you are going to have moves, and of course we all think back to what happened with Olli Pakala and Gregor Hutu at Suzuka last year, this is the sort of thing that team drivers do. That did look like an actual pass, and then a case of, yo, you know what, I'm not going to turn in on my teammate. That is the respect that drivers have of each other. But also, I think there's a situation that people are realizing Peter Berriman is not going away right now. He is still in P number 6. He is still turning lap times the same pace as Bonner House, the same pace as Freek Schotthorst. What Team Redline are doing right now is eliminating the impact of what Peter Berriman might do in this event.
Yeah, definitely. So, Berriman, he's definitely the X factor in this battle. Let's not forget that Mitchell de Jong is just up the road within touching distance. So de Jong hasn't broken away. And, you know, you use de Jong as a visual point sometimes, but on the relative times too. He's only 2 seconds in front. So you're looking at those gaps as a driver constantly. You know, you want to focus on the racetrack. You want to focus on catching De Jong, but that small motivation of, oh, I'm 1/10 faster than De Jong last lap around. Let's keep pushing. And that's great motivation as a driver in the cockpit. Good confidence builder. And you really have to build into that rhythm slowly, lap after lap. It doesn't just come from one magical lap.
Yeah. I have to say as well, I really like the comments going on YouTube about development of the series, etc. Keep that passion coming. We love that passion here on RaceSpotTV and on iRacing Live. We want to hear your views. We're not going to silence your views. And again, we know that Loose Lips is normally watching these broadcasts. We know that everyone else is watching these broadcasts. Heck, they hear the audio from me when I'm outside the commentary booth. We're having our little ad breaks. They hear the stuff that you guys never get to hear. We're on board of Peter Berryman then versus Bonner House. Gap is 0.4 of a second. Worth noting though that Short Horse is almost broken from DRS range over Bonner House in the space of a lap and a half.
Yep. So battles throughout the field as well. And going through the final corner, I'm just having a look at the gap. So Bono 0.8 behind Short Horse into this pit stop phase. Nobody's entered the pit lane too, Will. Just to focus on that for a second. That's very, very important at this stage because once somebody comes in, that's where the dominoes start to fall.
Yep. Piatella in towards pit road.
There we go. Dominoes starting to fall in front of him. There's somebody else. Is that Alex Bergeron, I think? So Alex Bergeron down the back of the field.
Kazuki Umashima's on pit road.
Yep, so in the radicals behind of Umashima. Rest of the drivers coming through. Mo Garfilio, he's entering the pit lane now. Another radicals car, so we'll see most of the radicals cars probably coming in at this stage. A lot of teams will have similar strategies.
Piatella comes out, 4.1 seconds. Umashima will come out, 4.4 seconds. Mo Garfilio, teammate. Radicals online, putting 2 drivers in on this lap. 4.3 seconds out and away then from Mo Garfilio. Let's talk about Mo Garfilio for a moment, because again, you know, I remember the first time I commentated on this guy. It was in the Pro Series of Road Racing. Always the bridesmaid, never the bride. Never won a round in the Pro Series of Road Racing. He's never won a round in the World Championship Grand Prix Series. Does he deserve to? Potentially, yes, because he is a top 5 driver right now.
What, in the whole World Championship?
I think that the issue for Mo Garfilio is actually, I don't see a driver put a foot wrong less in such a way that Mo Garfilio, he never puts a foot wrong. You always see him. He is Mr. Dependable. He's, if you look at the English football team, who wants to drive a player called Owen Hargreaves, he was super sub. He was always Mr. Dependable. Yeah. And you go back and have a look at that. Mo Garfilio is that driver. And the one thing that I always feel bad about for Mo Garfilio, he never won a round of the Pro Series of Road Racing in the times that I commentated on it.
And that does get in your head. It does, trust me. You do want to win. You want to have the victory next to your name. But if you have the right mentors off the racetrack, you'll understand that there's bigger things to just actually claiming the top step of the podium. And so he's had a great career, though. About being top 5 at the moment, you know what? Kroenke, Hutu, De Jong, Short Horse, Huss. Top 5 there, I think, are all quicker than Moga. Moga, though, I don't want to take it away from him. He's very quick. I think just, you know, Radicals hasn't been the best in the McLaren. And remember, he has had pole position before in the World Championship. He was in front at Suzuka last year, joined by Kazuki Umashima, his teammate.
Yeah, and again, that is one of those moments that you'll never forget if you are a sim racer. So Megalek then, it's a long stop for him. A very long stop for him. Speeding penalty for Tomo Megalek. Or damage, or both?
No, both. It both would be worse.
Speeding penalty. 19 seconds. Exactly a speeding penalty.
Yeah. Now you're right there. Spot on, Will. Megalek out and away. Not what you want to be doing there. So he'll be out there in a clean slate of racetrack as the drivers in front battle away. He's going to rejoin between Mitchell De Jong and Bono Haas here. This is going to be tight. Haas, though, not impeded at all. He might get a bit of dirty air in front. So just waiting for everybody to enter the pits, as we said. Short Horse Berryman into the pits.
Yeah, Antoine Hagelin is in as well. So 4.2 seconds stop there for Peter Berryman. a 3.9 second stop for Frakes Shorehorse. Those 0.3 of a second will make an impact later on in this event as Frakes Shorehorse down to the inside of Daniel Wernsing, and he is very lucky to get that position. This is what you talked about, Johnny. This was the, when you come in towards pit road, where is my gap?
Well, Shorehorse now is 24 seconds in front to Alexei Siakala, so that was spot on by Redline to get him that gap there. So he remains in 5th, Frake. Everybody else slots themselves into the pit lane. We had a mad scramble on that lap coming in at the end of lap 25. Let's see the rest of the leaders come through. Generally, the leaders are the cleanest on their tires too in terms of conservation, so it sort of fits in well with the fact that they have to wait for the track to clear up. Now, it always will as well. Frake Shorehorse here could also get closer to Mitchell de Jong.
He could indeed. Unfortunately, we have again lost ourselves our broadcast. We are going to bring it back to you live as quickly as we can. But in the meantime, let's talk about what is happening at this point of the race, because we're seeing drivers come in. We haven't yet had Martin Kroenke, Gregor Hutu, etc. come in. And this is what you talked about earlier on, Johnny. You know, the strategy calls, people coming in later than what you think they would expect to do. Now, the thing for Martin Kroenke is he won't come in until Hutu comes in, because he knows that he needs to defend a position, not attack for a position.
Yeah, but de Jong and Alexei Siakala enter the pits. De Jong, wow, cleanly in front of Shorehorse there. Alexei Siakala feeds in just in front of Ollie Pakala. Now, Ollie actually hasn't made a pit stop, surprisingly. He started all the way down the order. But that's right, Will. Going back to your point, if I'm Kroenke, I wait until Hutu pits. So then when I pit, I have 1 lap fresher rubber for the rest of the event. You don't understand the huge difference that makes over a long distance. Stuff the undercut. Go for the fresh rubber for the rest of the event.
Yeah, again, we do have a couple of issues in terms of us giving you some picture feeds right now. We are working to get that back for you as soon as we possibly can. You are here, though, watching RaceSpotTV here on iRacing Live as we are working ourselves here at the Nurburgring. It's Martin Kroenke who leads this motor race. And now we are back now with you, with pictures. We're riding on board. Did I just see a car just spin off down at turn number 2 there, Johnny?
I don't know. Can't see. There's so many cars to pick from. Oh, is it Yavaz?
Yeah,
possibly?
I thought I saw someone. Let's have a look. Let's try and find Yavaz, and let's have a look back at the replay of him, shall we? Because it does look as though that someone had made an incident. So it could well have been Yavaz. This is coming out of pit road as well. This is Heinz-Harald Frentzen almost-esque. I mean, Heinz-Harald Frentzen had himself a mechanical failure in 99, but Yavaz just decided, yeah, he just went wide. And then lost it.
And so just quickly, Bono Haas comes out of the pit lane, and he's lost the position to Peter Berryman. So Bono Haas, despite all the spins for the back markers, also under attack from Alexei Siakala, who's been so quiet this race, but he's ready to pounce there in P7. Bono, 2 positions lost in this event. I was expecting more for him.
Yeah, and the thing is for Peter Berryman, he has had a fantastic race here today. This is Apex Racing UK showing themselves at their very best. 33 laps remaining here. Lap number 28 of 60 on RaceSpotTV. Martin Kroenke then, we should see him on pit road soon. Oh, he had a horrible wiggle down the exit of the Vidal chicane though.
Yeah, that was... he's very confident in saving it. Continues away for another lap. Hutu continues as well. Hutu's got to watch out here for Mitchell de Jong. A lap times, this time Hutu sets a 32.4. So Kroenke did make a mistake there, Will.
De Jong should just about be alongside Hutu at this stage. I think that Hutu's focusing too much on Kroenke and not enough on Mitchell de Jong.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully Coanda are listening to this. I would keep Kroenke out there as much as possible to help put de Jong into the top 2. Let's have a look at lap time. So Hutu, as we said, 32.4. De Jong crosses the line and sets a 31.7.
Oh, it's on.
Yep.
If you are Team Redline right now, and we know the teams listen to our broadcast, they are saying pit, 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 because the thing is for Hutu, yeah, he might be trying to go for the race victory, but it doesn't matter what Martin Kroenke will do at this stage. It will either be Kroenke or de Jong who will come home with the race victory if Hutu does not come onto pit road this time by. And this is where Coanda seem to have their strength in numbers. They've got people who are outside the top 5 on the grid, but are really good racers. And this is why they always seem to end up in this weird situation. Through Vidal, for Martin Kroenke, he stays out for another lap. What about Gregor Hutu? He's staying out. Hutu's just lost second place. I'm calling it right now.
Yeah, he has. So, I don't want to say it until they come out of the pits. I don't want to look like a fool, but I reckon at the moment it looks like De Jong may find himself back at the front. If he takes another 7/10 of Hutu, I think that's it. And you know what? De Jong looking good in terms of getting past his own teammate. We're approaching 50% of the distance. It's lap 30 of 60, so Kroenke should pit this lap around, and I think that should be enough possibly to get De Jong into P2. Although, just remember, Will, he will be on more worn-out Pirellis.
Yeah, but you've seen how hard it is to overtake here today. That's the issue. It's like, yeah, you've got 2 opportunities. You've got down into turn 1, you've got down into the chicane, the Vidal chicane, maybe down into the hairpin, which is where Hutu's coming into now. But the issue is, we know that traditionally a red lane car and a Coanda car will normally put in more downforce than an opportunistic team like an Apex, like an NX, like an Orion team, for example. Worth noting, I've only just noticed, there's no Apex drivers here today, is there?
There's no which drivers?
Sorry, no NX drivers here today, is there?
Yeah, we haven't seen NX for most of the season.
Yeah, and of course they had
vanished.
themselves a difficult situation at the Nurburgring. Of course, we turn our cameras away from the fact that NX had themselves what I'm only going to call a sense of red mist and rage down through the Mercedes-Benz arena. But I just realized we haven't got an NX racing team here in a World Championship Series event. And this, I think, is the first time in a long time that we haven't got them represented properly.
Yeah, it's been like that for a while. So NX struggling, but there's a battle with Ollie Pakula and Nurburgring. Pakula makes his way through, and Ollie all the way down there. This is a battle for P16.
But he has
Goodness
pitted,
me.
don't forget.
Yeah, Ollie Pakula, Ollie Pakula, who he's had a poor qualifying. That's been the story of his season, I think. Well, Ollie Pakula, poor qualifying performances. Not sure what's gone on for him in the World Championship. He just hasn't been on it. But how about Mitchell de Jong? Another second taken out of Gregor Hutu. Mitchell de Jong now 30 seconds behind. I think he's in P2, and he has a shot here at the race lead.
And again, for Coanda, win the championship, 1-2 at the same time, 11 wins in a row for the driver of Martin Kroenke. That's the stuff that people cannot make up in terms of marketing. That is the sort of stuff where it writes itself. And again, we are getting all sorts of votes here on Martin Kroenke because of the fact that he is on the verge of his second World Championship. But Mitchell de Jong right now, he started in 6th place in this event, worked himself up into 3rd place by turn number 1, Johnny. You don't often see that in the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series.
Yeah, an Alonso-esque start, so brilliant stuff from Mitchell de Jong, a Red Bull Rallycross driver, trying to prove and get... he doesn't treat the sim racing world as training, really. He enjoys this competition as much as anything else. You speak to him and he's always showing up for the interviews after the race. Good personality to have in your team. But as I said, if you're trying to build good personalities, you have to have a certain level of talent before you do that. You can have the world's worst drivers who are great people and you're going to finish last every race. So, yeah, you have to have a certain level of talent before you bring in guys like Mitchell de Jong to your team. But he's just so good to have. Great personality. He was on my podcast last year and just had a good natural chat, on recording and off air too. Wonderful person. Now, let's stop giving praise to de Jong for a second. Well, I think he may have the race lead here. Looking at the pit stop loss time, around 25 to 30 seconds. He's 29.2 from Hutu, 31.9 from Kroenke. He's very close.
I think Kroenke's in this time by. It's because Kroenke knows what the gap needs to be. I think Kroenke will be in this time by. And I think that Hutu will follow him immediately. And again, Kroenke has done as much in this kind of team games here today.
And sorry, I saw de Jong run off the racetrack there. Sorry to cut you off, Will. I thought he almost lost it. He lost a few tenths, so I got very excited, didn't I? I thought he almost lost the car. Not
Kroenke stays out.
A good thing, obviously. Oh, wow.
I don't know what Kroenke... And again, Kroenke knows what Kroenke is doing. It will be close, but I think that Kroenke is goading Hutu to find a fact. There is a 2.8 second gap to put De Jong in that gap right now. It's a very tight lineup the car and the team are running right now. But again, we've seen them do this for the last 10 rounds of the season. They know what they are doing, and Coanda right now are leading this motor race. There are other battles going on still on track. Alexei Yakola is behind Bono House. And well, for Alexei Yakola, this is him trying to get into the top 25 right now.
Yeah, it is. That's why he's coming back for these last few races. And I don't know why, you know. I mean, I think he definitely wants to be in the World Championship. Not sure what's going on behind the scenes, but you know what, Alexei, if you ever need support, come and speak to me. I'm always there supporting you. I've always been a fan of him, always will be. He's great talent.
The thing is, though, that Lakota's becoming the new Ben Cornet. He gets his license with the fact he has a license.
Yeah, I know. That was... And Ben has a lot to say on that. He got... People on the forums are having a big go at Ben about that, so we won't bring that up here for this race. Conversation for another day, but can I just say something quickly about Kroenke and Hutu?
Yeah.
This is getting personal. This is getting personal. The fact that... This is ridiculous, the fact that they've gone to lap 33 with that pitting. Kroenke wants to wait for Hutu to pit. Hutu's not going to give it to him. Kroenke continues for another lap. I'm not going to be surprised if Hutu continues again.
He's in.
No! I am, okay, very surprised here. It was getting personal. He was giving it to him. Don't speed, Gregor. I think he's noticed that De Jong is going to be very close here on the exit.
Hutu realizes that he's got to... This is his only chance now. That if he doesn't do it this lap, he will be passed. It's going to be very, very close between Gregor Hutu and Mitchell De Jong. In towards the pit box then comes the driver of Gregor Hutu. 3.8 seconds on pit road. Hutu stays ahead of De Jong, but not by much. By about half a second.
Oh, that's less exciting than I thought it was. Thought it'd be side by side going into the first corner. So, De Jong, though, ate up a lot of time. So that's
He also made a couple
surprising.
of mistakes. You said that, didn't you?
Yeah, so I forgot about that. I think those mistakes have really cost Mitchell De Jong there.
And 1.2 seconds at a track like this is messing up at 2 corners.
Yeah, exactly. Such a narrow racetrack, no margin for error. You're looking for mechanical grip here. Braking, you want as much driver feel in the McLaren. And that's the key to it. And it looks like Hutu now looking for the undercut on Martin.
Kroenke will come on towards pit road this time by. And he does.
You reckon? Yeah. Was that a 1-to-1 bet? 1-to-0? I don't know.
That was basically betting red or black, wasn't it? So let's be honest.
Yeah.
Here comes Kroenke then on towards pit road. I will say, by the way, one more driver retires, Martin Kroenke wins the championship.
Yeah, effectively, if he finishes the race. So
Martin Kroenke wins the championship as it stands on lap number 59 of the motor race.
Yeah, because Alex Bergeron's a lap behind.
Yep.
So Kroenke enters his box out and away. Where's Mr. 5-time? Not even close.
Nowhere near close. I mean, Gregor Hutu, I will say, just had a fantastic outlap. But he's 1.5 seconds back, and that's all Kroenke needed to do. Kroenke would not go and be aggressive on towards pit road. He will not risk a speeding penalty because Kroenke he doesn't want this is the thing on this point. He doesn't want the championship. He wants 12 out of 12.
Yeah. Well, actually, I think he knows he's pretty much got the championship on hand. It's just the record, why not? And this is something where you just have to really think about it yourself. Are you going for a race win record, or are you going to be satisfied with the title? Either way, you'll be slightly disappointed if he doesn't get the entire season and win the entire season, clean sweep it, but the title's there. You know, it's like first world problems. One thing I have to say, though, is respect to Hutu. He's given it his all this race. We're seeing the Hutu of old right now. It's just that Martin Kroenke's improved ever more season after season. Let's not think that Hutu's declined. He's only 1.4 seconds away at the moment from a possible race win.
And again, this is personal for Hutu, because it's not just a championship on the line right now. It is Hutu's win record that is still on the line. Most Grand Prix World Championship Series wins in a row that is on the line, because that is what people remember back in 2010. Hutu basically blitzing that 2010 season by winning in 2017. Martin Kroenke, with his wins back in 2016 as well, has the opportunity to beat Gregor Hutu, match Gregor Hutu, and then beat Gregor Hutu.
Yeah, so he'll definitely put himself up there in the greatest sim races of all time, enjoying Gregor Hutu. I actually think Martin's almost already up on that list with the seasons he's had. He's just got to do it a few more times and he'll cement himself there as Hutu comes through the forward curves. Definitely pushing at the moment, Gregor Hutu. Now, you know, I always tell you, well, I hate that phrase where you say, I'm going to make up a 10 through this corner. I think at the moment, Hutu's going 100%. His aim is to not lose time during any corner, because at the moment, he's giving it his all.
On board Diego Oliveira versus Kevin Ellis Jr. right now. This is a battle outside of your top 15, but it really is important. And again, we've got to talk about the people outside the top 15 in the championship, side by side ahead of them. Two Radicals cars. Kevin Ellis Jr. Is in spin, and that is Mo Garfilo turned around.
Yeah, pit maneuvered Filio by an Apex Racing UK car. It may have been Kevin Ellis Jr. who's...
No, that was his teammate.
Yeah. So
that was his teammate, I believe, down on the Radicals Online team. And I was about to say, the Radicals drivers having a pretty good race here today. They don't want to fall over each other, but they ended up being side by side through turn number one. Through turn number... You're right, it was an Apex car that turned them around.
You will. Yeah, it's not. It was Kevin Ellis Jr. That's the second time that's happened this race for Ellis Jr. It happened at turn one with Jurgis, turn number two with Filio. Hasn't had the best of races, and he'll fight back from it. He's one of those young guys who really wants to do well. He's not just here for the giggles. He's here for... Definitely wants to make a name for himself in this series as he opens up DRS now to try and get past Paul Lilbrink. He's also got PSR's Diogo Oliveira behind for Positive Sim Racing.
Yeah, as they come down in towards the chicane, then the Vidal chicane in towards the Jaguar curve. They come final corner on the racetrack, and we're on board then with Diego Oliveira. Let's give you a lap on board actually with Oliveira down in P number 20. All drivers remain in the same place. I know, Johnny, you wanted to talk about, whoa, we got a side-by-side going on behind. For a moment, at least, this was Paslis Gurgis. And Gurgis had a really weird race, I would say, here today.
Yeah, Jurgis is, I mean, he was a bit over-aggressive in terms of defending Ellis Jr. It was a very smart move on paper to do. It's just a centimeter off working, and that's where the clip happened. He was collected by Kevin Ellis Jr., which didn't help. But what did you want me to talk about? I forgot what I wanted to say.
We're talking about Apex Racing. Yeah, we're going to talk about Apex. I was going to talk about the fact that I wanted to show the camera from one driver. You wanted to be from another, but seeing Diego Oliveira seeing Ellis Jr. and Ilbik fighting, in my opinion, was a better thing to watch.
Yeah. And Diego Oliveira for PSR. I mean, Javier Alvarez, I love that guy so much. The best team owner anybody could ask for. You show up to race and you want to race not just for yourself, but because you've got a guy who constantly puts in the faith in you. Even if you're horrible as a driver, he'll put in the faith in you. He's one of those guys. That team, I hope they grow. The biggest issue for PSR is the fact that they've lost all their good talent over the years. I've left the team. I wasn't a good talent, I think. So that's their biggest issue, which they'll need to fix.
Tell you what, not bad a commentator. I'll tell you that one's got side by side right now going on. Vicara versus Gergis. Gergis, they're trying to find a way past. Can't do so.
I think he's got damage.
Yeah, he has.
Sorry, Will. Yeah. So remember, he started in P9. He doesn't have the pace even to keep up with these guys at the back end of the grid. So definitely damage.
Here's an interesting one. Alexei Yusiakola is right behind Bono House.
This is
just saying.
Is another red line driver going to just not dive bomb, but surprise
not do
the
team
other
orders? Yeah. I will say at this stage, if one more driver retires, the championship is Martin Kroenke's.
Yeah, you're right. So we know Kroenke. I mean, he's probably going to win this race at the moment, looking at his pace in relation to Hutu, but. Yeah, once one more driver doesn't finish, Kroenke's got the title wrapped up. He won't be able to celebrate, though, until the checkered flag. And that's where he has to wait. We're only 2/3 of the way through this event.
We are indeed. Lap number 40 or 60 here on RaceSpotTV. There are your top 8. Martin Kroenke leads away by 2.5 seconds over Gregor Hutu. Mitchell de Jong is in 3rd place right now. He is 4 seconds, however, behind the driver of Hutu. Great Shawhorse is in 4th, and Peter Berryman rounds out your top 5. Berryman at one point was very close behind Shawhorse. No longer the case. Bono House, he has slid down into P number 6. Alexei Yusiakola is in 7th place, and then Mark Backham rounds out your top 8 right now. Top 10, Anton Hegelin and Jamie Fluken. The one thing that really kind of makes me a bit upset about this race is how Hegelin and Fluke are kind of lost out in pit stops.
Yeah, and maybe they need to have a look at that after the race. I think you come into a race and you know what lap you're going to pit in before it happens. A lot of people think you just improvise and think, oh, where am I going to be, whatever, enter this lap. No, this is all pre-planned, and at least I did that with my team. I mean, we were so prepared back in the day when I was racing, where we'd even have our, or at least I did, when I would go out on the track during qualifying. So every minute left in the session when I would time it, and we used to have to worry about traffic, all this kind of stuff. So everything to do with this race is pre-planned. You never improvise. Only sometimes, if things don't go well, I should say.
In Anton Hegelin's case, for Apex Racing UK, the thing is, though, they qualified pretty well. The start of their race was pretty good, but now they are, again, the team we're talking about being the best of the rest. Peter Berryman, of course, is in P number 5 for that team, and he has done a sterling job here today. And again, we have got to really laud the applause of Peter Berryman, because he has got himself, get this, Bono House, Alexei Yusiakola, Matt Backham, Antoine Hegelin behind him. These are drivers you do not want to have behind you in any race ever.
No, it's very intimidating when you see those names, but they're only names on paper. If you're in front, it means you're as good as them. That's what Berryman's facing at the moment. First race back, he's got such a, I don't know what he's doing behind the scenes. I know he's an avid snooker player. I think he might be a world champion, if I recall, in snooker. So, well, for his age anyway, I don't know what's going on. Maybe a UK champion. Do you know anything about that, Will?
I don't know. I played archery. You play snooker. Who cares? Difference. Hit a ball into a hole, or hit an arrow into a target. Same difference.
Well, the work ethic though translates to sim racing. It's like Atsay Kirchhoff. Atsay Kirchhoff, speed skater, translated to sim racing. The work ethic and effort he put in.
And let's not forget, you know, at one point we were calling Antti Kirchhoff a new world champion. The same way we're now calling Bono House, we're actually calling Frank Shawhorse a future world champion.
But look at the difference now. Bono Haas 200k richer over the winter, 220k richer. And the other thing is, I mean, you mentioned before about like the commentators working hard and all this kind of stuff. Michael Dinkel out here, he can't race. He's got so many stuff going on in his personal life. He can't dedicate his time to this. Peter Berryman, other stuff going on behind the scenes. These drivers can't always just focus on racing. I'd say a lot of stuff behind the scenes too. So you can't dedicate your entire life to sim racing. And you know, people are wondering, what am I saying? If you're a driver who's racing the World Championship, you know it. You can't just show up to these races and not care, unless you're Riku Alatalo. You can, of course, because Riku Alatalo is very, very, very strong and good.
It's Ricky Atulu for the record.
Atulu, excuse me, PSR. So, moral of the story is what I'm trying to say is, you know, as a commentator now too, you know, we're all putting in the work. As excuse me, actually, let's talk about this later. De Jong Shottor's battling away.
Yeah, and that is a battle for third and fourth place on Dragon Wild. De Jong is in third place right now. Shawhorse wants that third place away from the driver on Mitchell De Jong. We're on board with him right now as they exit the Mercedes-Benz Arena section down into turn number 5 and 6. And for De Jong, he's got nothing to lose. This is the issue in many ways. When he came into this race, when he saw qualifying, De Jong's basic strategy was make sure that Hutu does not get the win. That's happened. So all of a sudden now, De Jong's just turning test laps. If you got to be frank and honest about this, De Jong is, he's getting a third place if he finishes where he is. He is turning test laps, however.
Yeah. And as you say that, all 3 Redline cars, actually 4, including Alexei Siakala, they've all switched on at this part of the stint. So, I mean, the pace by Redline at the moment is incredible. Even Hutu's creeping in on Kroenke in front as Haas has a look into the Vidal chicane. So close there. Haas on the exit. He's got a shot here at P5 on Peter Berryman. Alexei Siakala looks strong. So does Frank Shotthorst. So does Gregor Hutu. You split out your stints in 3 stages, and at the moment, the second stage of the stint for Redline is very strong.
On board then with the driver of House. He's ahead of Peter Berryman. Just like that. Job done.
Not entirely. Berryman around the outside also has to defend here. And also has to attack at the same time. Alexei Siakala through. Can he sustain the advantage around the outside?
Oh!
Tail goes both of them. And Alexei Siakala, brilliant reaction there to avoid an incident. That is world-class driving from all 3 of them.
That deserves a replay from our aero coverage brought to you by And One Design, the official graphics partner of RaceSpotTV. That was down to the inside then. That was the first move done by Frank Shawhorse. By Bono House even. We're on the outside. Try Peter Berryman to get that position back. And at that point, you have the outside line. Got the outside line into the inside line again. But Bono House has had a fantastic run on the outside line of turn number 4. And that's what gave him that position there.
Yep, so definitely. And as I said, the Redline cars look switched on. They look good. So Peter Berryman, I'd be nervous. The same for Mitchell De Jong. You know, I mean, into turn 1, it's a great overtaking spot here, Will.
And the issue is that Bono House has currently scored as about 7 seconds behind Mitchell De Jong. We've got 15 laps remaining in this motor race, and it's Martin Kroenke leading by 3 seconds over Gregor Hutu. 3rd place is Mitchell De Jong. 4th place is Frank Shawhorse. 5th place now is Bono House. But I think really, I would say that for Bono, that move was more than about just I want P number 5. It's more about really Redline. We are the 2nd best team in sim racing.
Well, I wouldn't want to be happy with that. I'd want to be the best. So
okay, we're one of the 2 best teams in sim racing. You happy with that argument?
Yeah, I'm very. See, yeah, you have to look at it in a positive mindset. You know, maybe we are not the best team yet, Put the yet at the end. Might make you feel a bit better about yourself. Barry Minot is closing in, and he goes through the Schumacher S. It's dirty air central, that section of the racetrack. It's so horrible to go through.
It is, but for Pete Barrowman in the Apex Racing UK machine, this is the issue they have so many times. They can qualify well, they can start well, they can do pit stops well. They haven't yet got the perfect package.
No, they'll build to it. I mean, I think they've improved every single race this season as well. So race after race, they've lost Graham Carroll as well. No Michael Dinkel, who, I think Michael Dinkel, whether or not he fits their culture is a different question, but I think he is someone that's definitely missed in terms of the technical side. He's so well prepared. He teaches them a lot, and he's a driver they miss too.
In terms of the collective side as well, so you've got to remember what he was at Vortex. He was the driver that basically brought that team together and got them 2 or 3 places in the World Championship Series in 2016.
Yeah, and remember, they had 8 drivers who should have been in the World Championship. Only 2 or 3 made it, as you said. So eventually Michael left that team. He had so much history, a lot of championships with them in, was it ISOWC or another series? So
ISOWC in the Classic IndyCar Series, yeah.
Yeah, that's your forte right there, Will. You've seen him a lot, and that's why good talent. Graham Carroll, though, he's moved on to Redline. I'm not happy, Graham. You should be out there here today. You would have. Where would you slot him? Somewhere there in the top 5, possibly.
I put him 3rd. If Graham Carroll was here, he would be 3rd right now. Daniel Wensing is in P number 16, but he's hunting and haunting Elke Happana for P number 15 right now. And he's down to the inside in turn number 3. And that was an opportunistic move there. Couldn't get the job done. And again, compromises the move there through turn 4. And...
No.
Oh,
God. You saw him. You heard me get excited there.
Yeah, Wensing basically realised, wait a minute, if I go too wide, we're both out of the main race.
Yeah, that's such a narrow part of the racetrack. I mean, the front end really needs to be dialed in if you're going to go too wide through there. Here they come through the Schumacher S. It's so blind through here. Such a tight S, but it's full throttle almost. Bit of dirty air there. And the tyres aren't up to scratch, so Wensing continues away. But actually, just before the race ends, it was like 5 laps ago, I wanted to say something. As Wensing here gets very close to DRS, he's going to have a shot past Ilkka Happala. Oh, straight past. Look at this straight line speed, 325 kilometers an hour. And straight past goes Wensing.
What do you want to say?
Oh, yeah, what do I want to say? Thank you. Trust me, Bono earns, 220K over the winter. Other drivers earn money through all that kind of stuff just because of racing. Remember, a lot of these guys, and you mentioned like even the commentators before, like working hard and stuff. The amount of hard work these guys put in, and when I was racing, I never tweeted out that I was working hard every single day to get better. Even as a commentator, I don't tweet every day and say I'm putting in hours a day trying to get better in media. It's just these drivers just stay humble, do your work, and then show up and prove your worth out on the racetrack. And you look at the likes of Jamie Fluke, he's done exactly that. Well, he'll never publicize that he's done the hard work, but just by speaking to him, you understand the hard work he puts into this sport, and to what should be definite big things for the future in the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series.
Just to let you know.
That's my point, Don.
No, that's fine. Just to let you know, we have got 28 drivers remaining in this event here today. 3 drivers have retired. They are Yav Vaz, Alex Simpson, and Stephen Michaels. That means that we can now officially say that Martin Kroenke is a 2017 iRacing World Champion.
He's done it. He's done it very anticlimactic from my point of view. It's expected.
But he deserves it.
He deserves it, definitely. Well deserved. He earned it. I think he worked for this. He worked for every single point and win. Brilliant stuff.
The thing with Martin Kroenke for me is that he's not got every pole position. He hasn't had every lap led, but he has won every race this season. And the thing for me is I know that Kroenke will fight for this win and fight for the next win at Circuit of the Americas, because that's what he wants to do, because that's what he is born to do. But for Martin Kroenke, he knows at this point, because I'm not going to be the first person to say this to him. Someone else in his team has already said, wait a minute, the 28 drivers, you won the championship. 1996, at this racetrack, do you know how they celebrated the World Championship, Johnny?
Yeah.
Kit Kats. Honestly, this was the same situation. We had ourselves, it wasn't at this track, it was Suzuka, I'm sorry. But at Suzuka in 1996, when Damon Hill realised he'd won the World Championship, they celebrated with Kit Kats.
I love that. And that may possibly be VRS Coanda's new title sponsor next season, possibly. I'm sure VRS won't be happy with that. But no, that's exactly... You know what? I don't know what he's going to be doing after the race. You know what, Martin, for all you viewers out there, do you want to actually know what Martin does after a race? He does his interview, he'll stay and chat with us for 10 minutes, and he just goes and eats lunch and probably studies or something like that. That's a sim racer's life. That's why so many young sim racers, once they get jobs and all this kind of stuff, there's not enough of a market here to earn money and do this full time. And it's just life, you know? So that's what Martin does. Immense talent. And he's on his way towards 2 world titles in a row. He's doing an Alonso. Hopefully more, though, in the future.
But that's nothing to take away from Great Hutu at the same time, because he does exactly the same thing. And to be fair, Hutu has come out to play here today. He's second in this race. He got pole position. He lost it. What happened to Team Redline at turn number 1?
You're talking about lap 1, aren't you, right?
Yeah.
So just a poor start off the line. You know, you think about motor racing as Shotos gets close here to De Jong in the last 10 laps. We'll have one eye on that battle, but I think it was really the start off the line. I mean, you say you don't win the race in the first corner. Today, I mean, that's pretty much what happened. The track position was key. Hutu is only 2 seconds behind Kroenke, the closest he's been since the opening 10 laps. So this race definitely isn't over for the win. As I said, Will, in this second stint and in a lighter car, the Redline car is switched on. And remember, they did have strong qualifying times too. So maybe this lighter car and lighter fuel load suits the Redline team.
And the gap is still only 2 seconds on track right now, as they head themselves with 10 and a half laps to go here in this motor race. There are still battles going on track here, Johnny. And again, I will say this once or say 1,000 times. This is the time of the season that we've got to care about the drivers like Mogarfilo.
Yep, that's it. I thought you were going to say more. That's it.
What? I said Mogarfilo. I thought I saw him side by side with someone. It didn't happen. So, yeah.
No, you're right. Look, Filio important. Daniel Bieder. There's Meglic, very strong too. Daniel Bieder, remember as well, Will, our only driver from Israel, and he's out and away there in P25. Bjorn Burgess for Orion. How successful have Orion been in the past week, Will? Good stuff with David Corpse, a former World Championship driver. He won the world's fastest game around number 1 at Suzuka.
And well deserved for the Orion team as well.
Yep. So that's exactly right. Alex Bergeron back in the order. Alex Bergeron's been doing a lot of dirt speedway work, hasn't he? So good to see Alex Bergeron getting some gigs doing that too. Diogo Oliveira for PSR. We've spoken about him. PSR, they just need to find as much talent as possible and climb their way up into the top 10. I think they're a team that lurks around here and there. They just need a bit of luck on their side and a bit of driver management. You know what? With the driver academy they got setting up and stuff, definitely good things hoping to come into play there, Will. And so. No, that's it. I was going to say something else, but I think I've given too much praise to PSR.
You go on. You go on.
Still. No. PSR, they're doing well. I like them. Paul Ilbrink, great for Radicals too. We always want to see good stuff for Radicals. Will, definitely.
It's also worth remembering as well here, Johnny, that we've got ourselves one round of the championship still to go. And in fact, in many ways, many people will be praising the fact that Martin Kroenke has got himself the championship win here done today, because the next round of the championship is going to be a case of who's in and who's out.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll have a look at that mark there for the licenses for next year, and we'll definitely see some good talent coming through the ranks in the Pro Series. Will maybe Fred Rasmussen and even Sebastian Job coming back. Two exciting talents for next season who will be up there in the top 10 every race. Marty Piatella in a battle possibly here, very close with Marcus Jensen.
Let's have a look. Here's Piatella around the outside. They're still side by side right now. And Piatella is ahead. But Jensen, though, Jensen has been trying his hardest to really play on board with Marcus Jensen. Side by side in turn number 1. And the thing about this racetrack is as well, is that you get the move done in turn number 1, but you got to hold it through turn number 2, 3, and 4 here.
Yeah, and we've seen some drivers lunge up the inside of 3, and they're being caught unaware. And that is, definitely not what you want to be doing. Although we've had some, I think, we always get a couple of contact here and there. I've been very proud of everybody here today. Will classy driving and showing off their talent. The whole field's been spot on today. Suzuka race wasn't that entertaining in terms of on-track battles. I think we've had some good scraps here today, and it's been clean too. Yeah,
as we look at the replay again from those two drivers, again, it's still entertaining. And the thing is, Johnny, it's like we talk about there's 3 overtaking opportunities here, but of all of those opportunities, each of them deserves a lead up.
Yeah, they do. What do you mean by lead up?
It means that someone's going to sit in the car and find a way past the other driver.
Yeah, you're right. You got to set it up a few corners before. Turn number 1 here, the downhill braking zone. Making sure you don't lock up too much, and it's so easy to drift wide on the outside. You got the Dunlop hairpin into 8, the next best opportunity. And then the Vidal chicane, which is so tight, and you won't really see too wide go through there.
We're on board right now. Marcus Jensen will not get the position done as he heads himself down in toward turn number 14. But Jensen has had a great race here today, Johnny. He has basically been one of these drivers that said, you know what? Go for it. Put myself into a difficult position and let me go for it.
Yeah, he has. So Jensen, young man, he's been very impressive this season. Lock up there from Piatella, and that's going to compromise his exit. Jensen almost loses it. Oh, they both stuffed up at the same corner, and that equals out the battle.
And Jensen could have gone from the inside there, but he couldn't have done so. Now, the thing is, he actually lost more than he would have done if he would have been side by side down the chicane there, Johnny.
Yep. And so, oh, have a look at this, sorry. Red line drivers alongside each other too. Bono Haas and Frank Schothorst. What's happened to Schothorst? He's lost 7 seconds to Mitchell de Jong in front. Huge issue for Frank Schothorst there, Will.
7 seconds. 7 seconds. I'm not going to sing that song.
Don't sing it. Who's it by?
I don't know who it's by, but hey. Bono Haas, that's the issue. He's down on P number 5 right now. And as it stands, the championship is well and securely in the hand of Martin Kroenke, but there's still only 3 retirees, and there's only 3 retirees in this race here today.
Yep, so 3 retirees of Baz Simpson, Alex Simpson, Stephen Michaels, and Stephen we know was collected by Alex into turn 1. He just got a bit hot into that first corner. Alex in his first race this season, a race return. Hopefully we see him next round, Will, at the Circuit of the Americas. Here's Bono Haas having a look at Frank Schothorst for P4.
Here comes Bono Haas. No, not yet. Through turn number 2, yeah, he tries to go through, but the gap is too big there, Johnny.
Yeah, and he got on the dirty line too at turn 2. He's lost a lot of time. So I think Schotthorst lost time. Some technical issue happened. He was just coasting here at this section of the racetrack at turn number 6. They head through the forward curve, and Bono was almost alongside his teammate. So I think de Jong's got that podium settled. Hutu still 2.2 seconds behind Martin, but it's this battle for 4th and 5th we look out for.
But it won't be a podium, that's the thing, because it'll be outside of the podium as it stands right now, with 6 laps remaining in this motor race. We've got ourselves Bono House versus his own teammate right now, and Frank Shaw's is like, what is going on right now? I don't care, I just want this position. But for Schotthorst needs these points.
He does. Schotthorst needs it, and it'll be definitely be good for the championship here as they continue away. I think Schotthorst at the same time, 5 laps remaining. He needs this for pride too. I think him and Bono have been in a good challenge between each other, and they each want to beat each other in the championship despite being good teammates.
Down to the last 5 laps here of this event, and well, Martin Kroenke has still got himself the advantage. The advantage between himself and Gregor Hutu is 2.2 seconds on board right now with that driver of Martin Kroenke.
There's traffic in front here between Hutu and Kroenke. And this isn't going to help Hutu out, by the way. Hutu is going for the race win here. It's not over with 5 laps remaining.
Talk us through it, Johnny.
So Hutu now going to go break for the Vidal chicane. Oh, that's not going to help. The driver's in front there of Oliveira. He moves out of the way. Ulbrink as well. They're scrapping for that P19 position. Gregor's lost a lot of time from this. That could potentially be race over for Gregor Hutu as he switches on DRS and gets a bit of sweet DRS there. He's lost time, gets to make it back up just slightly.
It's slightly, but not slightly enough there for Gregor Hutu. He is still 2.3 seconds behind the driver of Martin Kroenke as he heads himself through Mercedes-Benz Arena as Kroenke has not put a foot wrong this entire season, Johnny, and you and I have spent the last 9 months commentating this, and now Kroenke, a 2-time champion in the making.
Definitely love it. He's deserved this championship more than ever. It's less dramatic as it was last season. Last season, the first one was tough. Didn't expect it. It went down to the final race, but this one, it's like we saw this coming already for most of the season, and so he's got it in the bag. And I never thought I'd see it, Will, but from a world championship, he's actually improved, and he's actually better than he was last season.
How so?
I mean, he's been more on it in terms of pace. He's demoralized the rest of the field. He hasn't been as consistent in terms of incident points, but that doesn't matter because incident points are just, sometimes you might just clumsily touch the grass, and for some reason you're like, what was that 1x for? You don't know sometimes. I think everything else in terms of his consistency and his overall race pace has been spot on, much better than last season. Qualifying, it definitely has something to improve there. He hasn't swept the pole positions, but now we're just getting nitpicky.
We are, but Gregor Hutu has tried his hardest as well here in the World Championship Grand Prix Series, but Gregor cannot yet get to the point where he will become World Championship this year because he's too far back. But for Martin Kroenke, it's now a case of, 3.5 laps?
Yep. So, almost there, Martin. Very happy moment for him. Hugo Luis was shaking last year at this point in time at Circuit of the Americas. This time around, I think Hugo will be like, I saw this coming. Much easier championship, as we said. Marcus Jensen was very close that lap around to Martin Piatella heading into turn 1. Almost a bit of contact between the two as well, Will. Actually, there may have been contact.
We'll find the replay. So 2 drivers there involved in an incident last couple of laps of not the season, but this race that will make it the season. Because Martin Cronkite will win the championship if he gets himself to victory lane. He has got himself now 2 laps to go, Johnny.
Almost there. Martin rounds the final corner, and this will be white flag. 1 lap to go for Martin Cronkite, I think. Although, excuse me, he's coming through turn number 1.
2 laps to go.
Yeah, I was on the replay there. How embarrassing of me. Let's give me the fire of... I'm about to get fired, aren't I, after this? So, Martin is coming through 6 now. He's got a bit of lap traffic to get out of the way. This is almost a J.R. Hildebrand moment. So through the hairpin, lap traffic should get out of the way. That was Ilka Happala. Kevin Ellis Jr. in front. Kevin Ellis Jr. has been in, I mean, a lot of battles this race. I don't know, Will, if Kevin Ellis Jr. won't be happy with this race, but he's had better ones in the past, you know. Good, as I said, nothing to be fazed about. So don't be angry from this. Just keep on trying. And that's the motto I would have, right? That's the way I would do it. So a few technical issues there. Can't hear Will. We fix that. It's unfortunate because Martin Cronkite is on the final lap of the race. There's Kevin Ellis Jr. getting out of the way. And Cronkite will enjoy this final lap as Bono Haas behind. So as we watch Cronkite on his way towards a 2nd World Championship, Bono Haas, the only man who was mathematically in contention, is in a scrap with Break Schotthorst.
And he's into turn number 5 and 6.
Yeah, so there you are, Will. Bono can't get past Break Schotthorst, but Martin Cronkite into the Dunlop hairpin. He's about to win the World Championship.
Well,
and
he's won it.
2 in a row.
He's won it.
Yeah, sorry, excuse me. Well, he's about to seal it officially.
So now he comes to the Schumacher-esque, and what a thing there for Martin Cronkite, because of the fact that Michael Schumacher, of course, for every German sim racer, has been a big thing in their mind. For Cronkite, he now has about 5 corners left to go. He's through the Vidal chicane in about 2 seconds' time. Brakes, turns left, turns right, out of the Vidal chicane, in towards the Jaguar curve for the final time. Cronkite will win the race. He will win the championship because Martin Cronkite is 11 for 11. He wins out here in the Nurburgring, and he wins his 2nd World Championship. Johnny, for Cronkite, this is a dream come true.
Brilliant stuff. He'll be definitely pleased with that. He'll be looking forward to speak to him after the race too. Martin Cronkite. Brilliant stuff there, Will. We'll have a look at the results in a second. Bono couldn't get past Break Schotthorst at the line, but all the eyes are on Martin Cronkite, the German. 2 world titles and possibly more into the future if he sustains this performance for the rest of his career.
So Martin Cronkite wins the race here today, and he gets himself his 2nd World Championship. Martin Cronkite, the driver that many people thought would not ever win a World Championship, now has 2. He is 1 race away from winning and beating Hutu's record for the most wins in a row. That will come down to Circuit of the Americas. But the thing is here, Johnny, Cronkite this year, no one can beat him. Literally no one can beat him. But, I mean, I honestly don't know what to say.
that, I think his results say enough. I don't want to say he's been this, he's winning 11 in a row. His results say it. They speak enough for him. For Gregor Hutu behind, 2.3 seconds behind for a race win. Very, very impressive. And just to let you know, Will, that's the closest Hutu's been to a race win all season. So the fact that as Kroenke now does some very horrible, I don't know what he's doing. He's doing burnouts. Here we go. Almost hit the wall there. I was getting concerned.
That would be cool for 95.
At least he didn't hit the wall. So here he comes now across the main straight. Definitely happy. Let's have a look at Martin Kroenke, Will. Two-time world champion. Hutu, the closest he's been to a race win at the strongest track. Oh, he exited. Oh, man. He should be disqualified from the race now. No.
And the championship. Two-time world champion. Nah, just get away from you. Yes, we can. But for Martin Kroenke, and the thing is, I always say this hand on heart because I saw Martin Kroenke. This was back in Glacier TV days. He did one race where he beat Gregor Hutu. And I said, he is a future world champion. It took him 3 years to get the first one. I cannot believe what he's done since then.
Hey, it's all hard work. As we said, he's put in the effort. He's understood everything. He's got the setup dialed in for the McLaren. As soon as a new car comes into a series as a driver, you have to be on top of it from day one. I think when you come in a year behind like Bono, the experience of having an extra 12 months, and yes, Bono did work with the McLaren, not necessarily in the World Championship, but that's a different story. So, to have the World Championship experience and the constant grind of doing a season is so important. Kroenke's been on top of it from day one. He's had the talent to go with it, the personality, everything like that. Team will definitely be happy with him.
Okay, then. Time for your final race results here from the Nurburgring. As it is Martin Kroenke again. 11 for 11 here in the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series. But then, Hutu comes home in second place. Took a bit of a sabbatical. He did some bad race results, but he came home in second place here today. Third place, Mitchell de Jong. Fourth place, Frex Your Horse. Fifth place, Bonner House. Then, the rest of the top 10 here, Johnny, is an interesting batch.
Yeah. So, all the way down there, Alexei Siakala, Berryman, Backham, Higgelen, Fluke in the top 10 as well. They all started in the top 10 except for Higgelen, who started 11th. And the rest of the drivers on that lead lap were Piatella, Jensen, Umashima, who we didn't speak about much today, as well as Yuta Saito, the two Japanese drivers, 13th and 14th. Daniel Laurent Wensing, the final driver on that lead lap in 15th.
There you got yourselves the drivers of Kevin Adesanya, Ilka Hapara, Ollie Packer, Paul Brink, and Diego Oliveira running out your top 20 here this afternoon. Gergis in P number 21 and then Filo in P number 22. The rest of the drivers coming up on your screen right now as we speak. 31 drivers, but one is now champion. Martin Kroenke is a two-time winner of the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series, and we will talk to him in a couple of moments' time here on RaceSpotTV and on iRacing Live.
Will.
1 second.
Okay, good.
Get ready, going green. Green, green, green.
We have a new world champion. It's Martin Cronkey. The 2017 iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series champion. He stood by with Johnny Simone.
Martin, well done. Another world championship. You're back here, double now. Were you expecting this? Is this as good as a feeling as the first one? The first one seemed, it went down to the final race. This one was, you just needed to show up today and hope to get a good finish to get that championship sealed.
Yeah, well, hello, first of all, thank you. Yeah, the first one is always a little bit more special. This one obviously is great as well, not gonna lie, but yeah, it was sort of almost to be expected, knowing that I think I need 7 points in 2 races. That should be possible, but you never can take it for granted. I mean, it's very possible to have a DNF and then have 2 of those in a row, and then things might look pretty bad. So still glad that it didn't go down to the wire and could close it out early enough.
So you thought about that too. I came into this round and said, oh, if Martin crashes out of 2 races and Bono wins both of them, he could win the championship, Bono. But no, it didn't happen. You've got it sealed. It's all set and done. So what's the aim now for next race? Because now the championship's all sealed. You're by far a quick driver, but I guess you were probably concerned with the fact that Gregor was only 2.3 seconds behind. Is that going to concern you for the next race?
Not really. Nurburgring was sort of the race where I had the most worries about. That has been a pretty terrible race for us last year. I think we've been, I don't know, 10, 15 seconds away from the top stop of the podium last year, and had massive tire issues. Those issues are gone now. Pace still isn't as good as I would have liked it to be, but still, it was good enough, so I can't complain really. And for next race, I think the aim is to win it again. Now the championship is done. Yeah, that is at least out of my mind, but there's still a race to go, and I'd like to have the 100% win rate, so yeah, aiming for the top step again.
No, let's see. I mean, that's the next step now. You've got no more championship to focus on. But, you know, this is going to be hard for you to talk about because I know maybe you don't want to talk about yourself too much. But the hard work that you put in behind the scenes, describe that for us, because the improvements from last season to this season have been incredible. I mean, you won a world championship and you actually got quicker and better. I mean, how does that happen?
That's a very good question. I actually don't really know. One of the biggest things that we have found out was just a little bit of a setup tweak that Marty has found out. That has worked basically from the get-go, from the start of the season. And ever since then, it was just marginal improvements in the setup. I think driving-wise, there was not really that much to gain to begin with. Maybe I gained something, I don't know. Can't really tell, difficult to really point a finger at what has improved. But yeah, huge thanks go out to Marty, who has developed a quite nifty trick.
Yeah. Well, we always hear about that. Marty's the setup guru, isn't he, at Coanda, along with you and a lot of other drivers. By the way, this World Championship, did you receive your trophy from last season? I'm not sure if you did.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, good. So you're going to get the second one because we know Hugo still hasn't got his. So we're finding a way to get that to Hugo Luis from 2011. But think about this for a second. Next season, McLaren again. What do you want to see out of your, not just yourself, but your team as well, to possibly even take a step up and take a step further in terms of domination?
I mean, there's not really much more to really try to achieve. I mean, 1, 2, 3 maybe, or so. That would be nice, but yeah, I hope that the championship next year goes to Coanda again. Other than that, yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, and I know all season you've always denied to give the comments in German, but if you do want to do it now, the fact that you've won the World Championship, feel free to do it and give your thanks to your teams and everybody else.
No words in German needed. I think everyone understands English these days, so yeah, I'll just start with a huge thanks to all of my teammates who have made this possible, who have been working with me either on track or off the track in one way or another. Huge thanks goes out to those guys. Then of course also to our sponsors, first of all to Virtual Racing School, to Huizenveld as well, to Andron Design, SimQuip, to Joel Real Timing. Yeah, a huge thanks to my family as well, who have always been supportive of this. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Well done, Martin Kroenke. We're proud of you here in the commentary booth. Very impressed with another World Championship. He's got 2 to his name now, and he is definitely in sim racing's, well, he's etched in sim racing's fame almost. A few more seasons, Martin, you may catch up to Mr. 5-time. You never know. But the likes of Mitchell de Jong will be looking to beat that, and he is currently, well, he finished 3rd in this race. Mitchell, we're not going to be talking about World Championships with you today, but I want to go all the way back to the race start. How did that happen? How did you and Martin as well, off the line on the dirty side of the grid, claw your way up the order?
Yeah, the start was quite solid, I would say. You know, I think it's kind of been on par with, you know, some of the other starts I've had, but I think everyone had just a bit worse today, so I think the difference looked a bit better. But no, I think it was exactly the same as Martin, so that was good. We were able to gain some positions from the beginning, and didn't really have to worry about battling too much. It's a really tough track to pass on, so that made it significantly easier.
And talk about the strategy for a second, because you did pit, and I mean, it did help you out, but for a second there, we thought you were going to take the race lead in terms of the fact that Martin and Gregor stayed out for so long. Is that something that you were keeping your eye on in terms of the gaps? Because you did make a mistake in the lap before Gregor pitted, and that was at the forward curve, I think. You ran off a little bit onto the gravel. Did that compromise the chance of you getting yourself in front of Gregor? I don't know if you remember which part of I'm talking about there.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't think you lose too much from running off a bit there sometimes. Obviously, you know, you risk the car bottoming out wrong or something, or getting damaged or something like that, but yeah, I didn't really lose too much. You know, the pit strategy there, we had to basically cover Bono or Freak. I don't remember which one it was at the time, but because they pit 1 lap sooner. So just basically had to cover that. But yeah, I was just in a kind of a tricky spot. I had like no confidence driving the car today. I just couldn't get in a rhythm. Just, I don't know. Something was odd, but I just couldn't find the pace in the car. So, you know, we were just basically in defensive mode the whole time from the other red line cars. So, but in the end, I'm happy with the result. It was, I think, as good as we could have done today. Just a little bit off pace today. So.
And final thing, were you very surprised by Redline's pace? Because I know, I mean, I came into this round expecting Redline to be strong at a high downforce track, but they were certainly very quick today. I mean, 4 Redline cars in the top 6, very dominant.
Yeah, I think I wasn't really surprised. I don't think any of us were. You know, we, as Martin said, we really struggled here last year, but we made some big improvements this year. So yeah, it was still really, really tight, but yeah, I think as long as we continue to improve in tracks like this, I think it'll just get better and better. But yeah, we knew this has definitely one of our worst tracks. So yeah, it was an okay result with that said.
Yeah, good stuff. Good to talk to you, Mitchell, as always. Well done. Another podium to his name and building up the statistics for himself in the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series. He came home, as we said, in that final podium position for VRS Coanda SimSport. So next to talk to is Freek Schothorst. No Gregor Hutu today for the interviews, so he's going to be our first Team Redline driver. And Freek, and I'm not just saying this because I said it to Mitchell, but it's always good to talk to you. Welcome back, P4. Talk about your race.
Thank you. First of all, I want to congratulate Martin and Coanda. They've done an amazing job this year. Yeah, and about the race, it was well, I didn't have the ideal preparation because I'm also focusing a bit on the World's Fastest Gamer competition. But yeah, I was decently confident. I think we had good pace as a team. Qualifying was okay, and then start was a bit messy. But was able to overtake Bono in the first stint. Then I tried the undercut, closed the gap with Mitchell, and we had quite a good battle. I think it was a little bit quicker in the second stint, but it was just really hard to overtake. He had a bit more straight line speed as well. So I think I had 2 moves, took a bit of risk, but it was just not doable. And then the screen went black actually. I think my TV went on power saving mode, so I had to go completely on the brakes. Lost like 10 seconds. It's a miracle nobody hit me. I'm really happy.
And you almost got overtaken by Bono there.
Yeah, exactly. I like this. I turned off the TV on, and it just went on exactly the moment that Bono arrived. We had a bit of a battle at the end as well, but yeah, happy to have 4th place secured. So solidify the 3rd position in championship as well. So that's good. So 1 more round to go.
Yeah, that's it. And I'm sure it's around that Redline want to win. We know you are always going to be strong at the Nurburgring. It seems to be a track that suits Redline, but Circuit of the Americas, is that a track that you think you're going to be strong at? Because over the past couple of seasons, it's always been that Coanda track.
Oh, I will have a bit of indication tomorrow. It's a World's Fastest Gamer race over there. So let's see. But I think today was a decent step. We expected to be a bit stronger here. I think Gregor was really close to Martin this time, so that's a good step forward. So let's see if we can build on that for next race.
And final things, P4, you were behind Gregor by 24 seconds. Is that something you can analyze as a driver? Because I know sometimes if I'm behind a teammate of mine by that much, I just like, oh God. I go to sleep. It's 5 a.m. in the morning in Australia. The race is over. I'm like, God, this is just demoralizing. And I don't know if you feel the same. We know Gregor Hutu's Mr. 5-time at the same time.
Yeah, well, I think Gregor is incredibly quick anyway. This year we've been all struggling a bit with the setup, but he hasn't lost pace, so he's incredibly quick. But about a 25 seconds, so there's like 10 seconds with the screen going black. So I think 15 seconds is more representative.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's still a bit much, but I was also held up in the first stint a bit. So maybe I would have been a bit closer, but yeah, he had definitely a bit of an edge on me. So I need to find a little bit still.
Yeah. No, excuse me about that. I should have said. I forgot about the technical issue. See, technical issues do exist in sim racing, ladies and gentlemen, and they exist in weird forms that a monitor will just hang you out to dry in weird times. Thanks, Freek. P4, brilliant result. Bonahas not available today for P5. We're going to speak to Mac Backham, who finished 8th, only because I'm very nice. But we're not going to speak to him for just about 20 seconds. I want to know if Martin's still there. I have one more thing I forgot to ask Martin. But Martin, are you still there? I'm not sure. As you're going to eat an early lunch. All right, good. At that pit stop phase I wrote this down in my questions. I can't believe I missed it. You and Gregor stayed out until, what was it, lap 33, 34? Ridiculous to go past the 50% distance mark. Was that a bit of mind games you were both playing with each other, or was that just what you planned for the whole time?
To be honest, I actually have no idea. I was asking my spotters whether I should pit now, at I think lap 30 or lap 31, and they said no. Then I kept driving.
Oh, I'm so disappointed. Come on. I thought you were going to... All right. Maybe it was the other way around. Maybe Gregor was like, "No, I'm not going to pit till Martin pits." It got very close though, because we know Mitchell was close on the outlap too. Were you concerned about that at all, or were you just comfortable the whole time? It seems you were comfortable.
Yeah, it was reasonably comfortable. Car was quite good this time around on the tires. It didn't do any odd things with worn tires. Just need to be a little bit careful with braking, but other than that, if you account for it, it's no big deal. So staying out longer, yeah, it's comfortable. I pit whenever my spotters tell me to do so.
All right, cool. I'll leave you to it. Go enjoy the World Championship. Go and have lunch or whatever you do after a race, and then some champagne with it too. Put a glass of champagne, whatever you need to do to celebrate. We're also going to open up a glass of champagne here too, because Mac Backham is going to join us for a couple quick questions. Mac, first of all, what are you doing here? Only P8? I mean, you did start from 8th too, so I guess not happy, but not too disappointed either. You finished where you started.
Yeah, definitely not happy. Quali was, pretty messy. Was really struggling with quali pace in practice, actually, but I had a really good launch, as usual, so I think I was up to P5, and then, boom, Tetris for Jeff got a little tap from behind in turn 7, I think, and I lost a few positions. That's just racing, I think. Nothing too serious, and then I made my own mistake, and... just went worse from there, and then I had a nice battle with every Apex car on the track, I think, and it was kind of good.
Yeah, I mean that tap. You had the tap from Frake on, was it turn 7, right? The forward curve, and you just saved it. Is that a moment where you're just like, whoa, this is, you thought your race was over for a second, and you save it. I remember you also had a bit of a moment at turn 12 later on the first lap. It was like, you know what? Look at the bright side. It was exactly like your Indy start, but without all the contact, in a good way. Yeah,
it was good. I know it was obviously a shame that it happened. I mean, that's just racing. Just happy I was able to save the car. And if you wanna save a car like that, you get an OSW from SimEquip. Then you have the car all under control. It doesn't matter what you do; it's all good.
Oh man. Well, you go ahead. You want to thank a few people? Go for it. You got plenty of time.
Yeah, I just want to thank the whole team, and especially Martin. He's been putting an insane amount of effort this year. It's just really cool to see, and it's just amazing to see how much he's been improving every race, which is also quite frustrating. And that's about it, I think. Also want to thank the Secret Discord and the Iron Fist, and that's about it.
There you go. So everything wrapped up for Mac Backham. He finished in 8th this race, and definitely could have achieved more, so he knows that, and he'll be searching for that at the Circuit of the Americas. But that is all it for this round of the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series. The next race, we know the championship's over, but there's still licenses at stake. There's a race win streak at stake for Martin Kroenke. That will be on the 7th of October in just 2 weeks' time for 56 laps around the Circuit of the Americas, which hosts the final round, as we said, number 12 of the 2017 iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series. That will be on RaceSpotTV, streamed live on iRacing Live, as always. Thanks to all you viewers, as always. I'm Jonathan Simon. Will Vincent was leading the coverage today. We had some moments from Jake Sperry and Paul Smith, and Hugo Luis helping us as well behind the scenes. Thanks to everybody. And Wern Design. Istvan Bello for his track camera work. Nick Thiessen as well for live timing. This has been a RaceSpotTV presentation broadcasted on iRacing Live. As we say so long from the Nurburgring, we look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks' time. Let's go.